This episode of the podcast is brought to you by HRH Combat Arms. They can turn your vision into reality. They specialize in gunsmithing and Cerakoting. Your Cerakote specialist is Air Force veteran and retired police sergeant Paul Ware, a.k.a. the Sarge. He can Cerakote your firearms, auto parts, tools, even your sports equipment. And then your master gunsmith is Marine veteran Steve Miller. This veteran-owned business is located at 5025 Saunders Suite, 103, Fort Worth, Texas, 76119. You can call them at 682-304-0363, and you can find them online at www.hrhcombatarms.com. That's www.hrhcombatarms.com. This podcast brought to you by Flock Safety, where technology can unite law enforcement and the communities we serve in the pursuit of a safer, more equitable society. Flock Safety builds devices that capture objective evidence, uses machine learning technology to uncover unbiased leads, and sends real-time alerts that prepare officers to be effective and efficient in the field. Look, guys, I'm a detective, and before they were ever a sponsor of the show, used Flock Safety every day. I used it countless times with the technology to include car thefts, package thefts, and violent incidents. If you're a patrol officer or a detective in dispatch, or even in command staff, you need to check out Flock Safety. These incredibly powerful devices are so much more than your average expensive license plate reader. They're solar powered, they can be installed virtually anywhere. In side-by-side tests, they are 30% more accurate than the old legacy license plate readers. They can capture multiple lanes of traffic, vehicles traveling 100 miles an hour. And the best part, they were built within the principled framework that never sells their data to third parties. And the exact same technology that I use every day is available for neighborhoods, businesses, law enforcement, and citizens of all sizes. Think about that. Members of the community use same tech so we can all work together in public and private partnership. If you want to learn more about Flock Safety, go to flocksafety.com/2cops. That's FLOCKSAFETY.com/2 and the word cops, COPS. flocksafety.com/2cops.
Oh, I forgot to unmute the mics again. I did that last episode. Welcome back to Cops One Donut. I am your host, Eric Levine, and I have a special guest with me today, Mr. Kevin Cox. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
It is officially Mr. now, right?
It's Mr.
It is.
Or retired something.
Okay.
I'm definitely retired.
First, before we even start getting crazy, you brought a special present with you today.
Yes, I did.
What is this, mister?
This is a fantastic bourbon.
Salute.
It's a Wathans is a distiller that uses another distiller, but uses their own mash bill.
Oh, my God.
It's super smooth, but has a slight aroma of grass.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. I don't know how they do it, but it's kind of different and refreshing.
Yeah. It's almost like cucumber water the first time you ever have that. Yeah. You're like, that ain't going to be good.
No.
And
the finish is nice.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Reminds me of cutting the grass.
That's what people say.
That's nuts.
As you're taking it in, if you just kind of hold it just as you're breathing it in,
yeah,
you'll get grass. That smells like grass.
Yeah, not like funny grass, but like
not funny grass.
I mean, you're retired.
I mean, I could do funny grass.
You could do funny grass now.
Well, in another state.
I
would never do anything illegal here.
Yeah. So, you are a retired sergeant.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Out of Grand Prairie.
That's right.
All right. So, retired sergeant out of Grand Prairie. How many years did you serve?
I did 28 total. Almost all of those Grand Prairie.
Okay.
A little bit of work.
So I like to give people a little overview of what they're going to hear, because sometimes these podcasts go for 3 hours, sometimes 3.5. My last one was 3.5. So
you lied.
This probably won't go that long, but you never know. Sometimes the whiskey and everything just clicks. But we were going to be talking about a very specific case that you had that involved catalytic converters out in Grand Prairie. I think your guys' work there helped pave the way for the nation, at least in my aspect, because I unintentionally became a catalytic converter expert myself. And then people are like, well, look at what Grand Prairie did. So I'm like, all right. And then then we're going to get into some flock safety stuff as well, because they kind of go hand in hand, and you're kind of a rep for them now too. But I know I'm a sponsor, or they sponsor me now, but I'm going to let you know outright, I'm not going to become a company man. All right.
Right. Okay. I really respect that about you. I really do.
You know, because I just think it's ridiculous when people, you know, they have a show and they end up, you know, the content's really good. Like Joe Rogan really started out hot, and then they sell out. Like, I'm not going to be that guy, you know?
I'm sure you're not.
Because I think, you know, it starts to, the content, when people start selling out to their sponsorships, is ridiculous, you know?
It really dilutes your whole credibility.
It does, because then people are going to think, well, you just giving up to the product. You don't actually believe in what it does. Yeah. And I can tell you right now, this show will not do that.
I'm sure of it.
I mean, let's not get it twisted. Flock it's a good product. I mean, it's all right. You know, I use it. Okay, so I use it daily. And it solves some of my cases, but all right, like
99%.
Okay, like about 90% of my job is solved through Flock now. So, but you know, just because your solve rate has gone up significantly higher, it still doesn't mean that that's all you're going to talk about or represent.
No, you wouldn't want to be that tramp.
No, not at all.
No.
And that's not going to happen here.
Never.
Okay. Just as long as we're clear on that.
I've got faith in you.
Flock's a good product. I like using it and all that, but they're not going to own me, and I'm not selling out.
We're not here to influence you
okay.
that way.
Thank you. That'll be some editing for me, but it should work out. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, that was good. They're gonna love that.
You guys get brownie points if you can figure out where that little skit came from. But anyway, so the show, we're going to discuss, and this is real talk, guys. We're going to discuss how this is basically what got me on board with thinking Flock was the shit. It's no BS. If this whiskey or whatever wasn't good, I'd let you know. It's actually, I can't tell if I love it or if it's like just because it's new and different. You know what I mean? I like it. Don't get me wrong. It is good.
I've never had a bottle before. I just got that bottle a couple of days ago, just for you.
Oh,
yes. But I'd had it before, and I went to the store, and I was just, I'm going to find a good bourbon and take over to Eric. And I rolled across on their regular stuff was out there, but then behind it, there were two of these.
Oh, somebody's trying to hide
literally it. A guy next to me, he was from somewhere else. I forget where he said, somewhere else in Texas, but he had a UT shirt. He was up for the game and stuff, and he sees it because I peeled the stuff back.
Yeah.
He sees it, and he goes, holy crap, and he yells to another guy on the other aisle. These guys are bourbon enthusiasts, right?
Yeah.
He recognized it immediately. So I didn't buy both. I just bought one of them. He got the other one. I got that one. Seemed fair.
All right, I'm just holding the bottle up to the camera for those listening.
Are you doing shameless plugs?
No, I just want people to know what we're drinking. Wathans. I'm going to say it's pronounced Wathans. Perhaps it's Wathans.
I don't know whether it's Wathans or Wathans. But
it's a Charles Medley Distillery, personally selected Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, 58.95%, 117.9 proof, and it is barrel 66 of 75. Wow, it is a small batch. Mm-hmm. And, it's even got the handwritten bottle number, 56 of 198, sir. You were not playing.
No.
Okay, so now that we've plugged that whiskey, I like giving credit to, like, we drink TX on here all the time. It's not because, we're trying to get TX to notice us. It's just, that's what we like. I love Eagle Rare. That's hiding underneath the Texas Rangers hat.
TX is too sweet for me now. It just, over time, I moved on to other things that were just.
I like I don't have the bottle in here, but they had a select barrel. It's like 127 proof. That's what me and Detective McMeans had the other day.
Okay.
When we recorded that show, and oh my God, we almost finished the bottle on the show. So it was really good, and we had a really good time off of that. That's how we had a 3.5 hour podcast. But he was undercover narcotics for a long time.
Yeah.
And when he gets going on those stories, it's like I'm, fanboying it up. I'm loving it. You just sit there and listen to all that, and I've never done that type of lifestyle in police work. So for me, it's just I'm learning the whole time he's talking.
So he did it for how long?
10 years plus.
Really?
And he got deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did it in the beginning of my career, but it was not like he did it. Not that long.
Yeah.
That's a long
like
time.
he got
That's
in,
a life.
Yeah. He got in with some, I won't name the gangs, but some white supremacy prison gang
right. Yeah,
stuff. Yeah. So he got, I mean, where they're showing, he looked like a wizard when he was undercover.
Really?
Like he looked like Gandalf the biker. I mean, that's basically what he looked like.
I couldn't ride a bike to save my life. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me an old bike to use, and it was first it never ran, and I couldn't ride.
Yeah, as long as it's got pedals, I can do it.
Yeah,
but,
pedals.
But yeah, not a
But
motorcycle.
I'll tell you, if you've got the right meth, you can sell it off of pedals.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
People will buy it off anything.
Oh, for
you
sure.
don't have to have a Harley to sell meth.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen up out there, guys. You don't need a Harley just to sell your meth.
Selling 101.
Yeah. I just watched Breaking Bad again, too, by the way.
Yeah, I did too. I did the whole series once, and then I found out my girlfriend had never seen it. And so I introduced it to her and her kids and everything.
Best written shows.
And yeah, I was just teasing one of my old lieutenants. He retired like right before me, or maybe right after me. He announced before I did, and
That's good.
we all went back to this retiree gun qualification we do every year.
Oh yeah,
and I just retired in June, but it came up, so I was like, oh okay.
Yeah,
So
and it's just a pile of retirees sharing war stories.
Yeah, there's some of that. There's these little camps that get kind of carved up out there, where there's the guys that started in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah,
Guys that started in the 90s, guys that started in the 2000s. But that's as high as it would go typically.
yeah.
So, but the old guys, they're all clumped together. And because some of them were there when I got there in 98, just about to leave, but they didn't want to know us, didn't care to, and we just got in their way. They hated it, you know. Everything under the age of 50 was hated.
Yeah.
So, and I was hated generally. So.
Oh, dang. Well, workers tend to get hated on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that happens.
I was a hot mess there.
Really?
Oh, God, yeah. I
Oh,
started
geez.
the pod. I did the politics and stuff. But
You did a pod?
No, I did the politics.
Oh, the politics. I thought you said you started a pod. I was like, oh, really?
No.
My bad.
I would have gotten it so...
My hearing's bad.
I would have gotten in so much trouble with the podcast.
That's why I chose to keep mine educational. Because if you're teaching something, then you can keep the politics and all that stuff out of there. So most of the time, at least in my experience, it's like going to TCU. Like when I went there, everybody's like, "Oh, what's it like going to a lib school?" You know, I'm like, that may be the social norm for colleges in general, but in a criminal justice field,
No,
I
different.
didn't find that at all. It was very unbiased. It was very objective. And if the class leaned too far one way, the teacher would challenge the other side and take that devil's advocate role in every class I had. So I had a good experience there just because of that factor. I was worried that I was going to get biased instructors and stuff like that, but they basically took the temperature of the class. And if it leaned too far one way or the other, they would challenge the class with the counter arguments. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it.
I did my bachelor's there, and they would put me out at 94.
Okay.
And did it in criminal justice. And we were still, you weren't there, we were in trailers. We were so far on the outside of things.
Yeah.
We were in temporary housing. I mean, occasionally you got a class inside of a real building.
That's funny.
But and most of the guys, it was split. It was the people that wanted to go into social services, along the like probation or juvenile programs.
Yeah, something in the CJ department,
Yeah.
just not law enforcement.
Yeah, and then the rest of us were all cops, and we all got internships with Fort Worth PD. It was awesome.
Really?
Oh my God! Because back then, I swear they didn't have the rules and stuff over there about like carefully, managing where an intern went and stuff. Oh man, I had a blast. I got to go everywhere all the time. I was in my internship in the field with Fort Worth PD more than I was at school.
Dang.
It was great.
That would be great, especially as a college student, because that's where you're trying to go.
Oh man, it was just like a
Yeah.
drug. I was so in then, and Fort Worth just didn't have the hiring timing.
Yeah.
By the time I came up, their timing schedule was way off. They only hired once a year. So
Yeah. I'm that's part of the reason. That's one of the reasons I got my master's was it's a retirement plan. I want to teach up at TCU as like an adjunct, because I remember going through classes and hearing how to do law, how to do all sides of the criminal justice career field by people that have only taught. They've never done the job.
Yeah.
And that frustrated me because I'd ask real world questions, and all they could give me was, well, the book says this, or I didn't do that profession. I just teach this class. And I'm just like, it sucks. And when you do get that one teacher that does the job, then you just, everything, your passion, you can see their passion for it and everything open up, and it just makes it better.
One thing I noticed whenever I had a law enforcement professional teaching something, or even in training conferences, stuff like that, the first thing you notice is they don't have a slide deck of PowerPoint behind them. They don't have sheets or notes or run off. They're there because they're just letting it run out of their brain, right through their mouth to you.
Yep.
And they can talk about it all day long.
Mm-hmm.
They're comfortable in that space, and they did a lot of it.
Yeah, that's what this show is.
Yeah,
that's what this is. I don't have a script. I don't come on here. You're like, what are we going to talk about today? It's like, we'll touch on this.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's like, okay.
Because I know it's something that you can just spew off word vomit for as long as you need to, because you did it so much.
Well, and part of the critical part of me being with Flock now, and I'll get into the story how I ended up there, but my role is a consultant. They call it a solutions consultant. And a big part of what I do is I get into the scenario where somebody in our system, usually a territory sales manager or something, is talking to a client, and they just need that communication gap filled, where I can go and I can talk to cop.
Yeah.
And I can tell them how I built my system, what it did. And it's a conversation.
Right.
It's just cops talking.
Yeah.
And I'm able to really tell them, this is really how it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. And everything kind of changes in the room a lot of times because it's just cops talking to cops.
Right.
And it's super easy.
Yeah.
Because I know what they're thinking. I know what they need. I know what I went through. I know what I can help them avoid and stuff. So it's consulting is really cool in that aspect, because if you really know your stuff and you've really been there and done that, you can have a conversation with anyone, chiefs or officers. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, we'll get into that. But first, what I want people to get into is, where'd you grow up? What'd you start out doing? How did you get into law enforcement? What brought you into it?
I grew up in Arlington. I was born in a town in Ohio, and then we moved away, and then the town got blown to bits by the largest tornado in U.S. history or something. So, anyway,
really?
Yeah. I had no idea that kind of stuff would follow me.
So you're not an Ohio State fan, are you?
No.
Okay.
No. Technically, I got here in time where I'm a naturalized Techland.
Okay, so. Okay, because I got the Michigan flag right there, and I even had it drawn in on my. I was just making sure I didn't want to have to throw you out of my podcast already.
No, oh God, no. So I grew up in Arlington. I was an Arlington kid.
Okay,
and by the time I was in, I guess it was in junior high, Bailey Junior High, and in 7th or 8th grade, I was actually in a photo class where they gave you your own 35 millimeter camera with rolls of film and stuff. Yeah, the little Pentax K1000. Well, I took it and I started doing surveillance behind the Kenny shoe store on this girl that was selling drugs.
Oh.
Yeah, taking pictures and sending it to Officer Wilson, our SRO. I was doing that like 8th grade, right?
Yeah.
The whole time. I'm actually in the strings program, okay, which also makes you a string geek, which makes it school difficult, and there's going to be fights and a lot of bullying. But so what people didn't understand was my real passion was getting bad guys.
Right.
So I started, and her name was Trinity. If you're out there, Trinity. If I didn't get you, I will get you. So
I have a particular set of skills now. Skills that make a nightmare for people like you. That's
skills
funny.
I've acquired over a lifetime. I know that.
Yeah.
So
I
knew I wanted to be a cop.
Gotcha.
I was very, very talented in music, and so
you're not bragging.
No,
this is you went to a private top tiered college.
Yeah.
Full ride to play. What was the instrument?
Double bass violin.
Violin. Yeah.
I was a ringer, basically.
Yeah, we're talking orchestra, classical. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started playing my first like pro gigs in for pit orchestras and movie or the theaters and stuff. And I started doing that work and doing gigs on the side and stuff in churches and their orchestras at their big holiday festivals and stuff. I was playing pro at probably 15.
What?
16. Yeah.
How much you make doing that?
A lot, actually, compared to,
what most kids that age make?
Oh, yeah. Nothing is what they made.
Yeah.
Well, you could work at 15 at Rangers Ballpark.
Yeah.
Then. I did that too. Then I got beat up by a lot of people one night. I decided not to do that anymore. But stuff happened. But,
So you're feeling right into the stereotypical. You became a cop because you got bullied.
oh yeah, because I want to level the playing field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll show you with my violin.
Yeah.
All right, so keep going with your revenge story.
So
So you John Wicked and keep going.
Yeah. As he drinks more whiskey. Yeah.
Mhm.
So went from junior high doing all that stuff into high school. I was gifted. I was kind of pre-programmed for music. I didn't have to work real hard at it, and went from there. I was on tours with symphonies in other countries and stuff, doing all that. Ended up at UNT, because that's where music goes. Well, I really didn't want to be a music major, so one day. They'll remain nameless, but two people from TCU came up after a concert. I was sitting second chair in the UNT Symphony, which is pretty good considering I really didn't want to be there. And they were giving me scholarship too. I guess so. I'm a whore. I go to leave, and they're at the side of the stage, and they wave me over, and I can talk to them. They go, "Hey, we're from TCU. You come talk to us next week. We'll buy you lunch." Okay, I'll take free lunch. So I went, and they wanted to talk about me coming to play bass there. They had a gap. They didn't have a good bassist to put on their first chair. They needed someone to lead the section.
How bad does that got to feel knowing your second chair and there's an empty first chair and they're not going to give it to you? They're going to go recruit outside.
It was a rough way to start there.
That's got to be bad.
Yeah, socially, it was a little upsetting for people.
Okay.
So I squared the whole deal away pretty much, and then told my parents, when you take your parents to dinner somewhere and you're in college, you say, "Hey, can we meet at this restaurant?" Your parents immediately know there's someone pregnant. Right?
Yeah.
They're about to get that news.
Yeah.
So I think my dad looked relieved that it was just me wanting to throw away all of my gifts and talents to go into one of what was clearly one of the roughest periods in policing to get into. This is right after Rodney King.
Yeah.
I got into policing in '93.
Okay.
And I told him the restaurant. I said, "I'm leaving school. I'm going to be going to TCU next year. I've got a deal for a free ride, and they've even allowed me to do some moderate alterations to the curriculum requirements." So, yeah, I did not want to do any languages.
Yeah.
So they let me go. Okay.
No problem.
No, they're a private institution. They can deal with whatever they want. I told them, this is what I've done. And they're probably in the back of their mind. First, they're happy. There's no one pregnant. Secondly, it's, holy crap, this is going to be expensive. So they were doing this roller coaster over there. And then I told them, it's a total free ride. No cost. Nothing.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. That means you were good.
I was okay. Mom was
Okay.
never happy with that.
Quick personal question for me. My daughter, she's 12. She's doing pretty good, but she's still at that level right now. Like, if I'm like, play this song, like if she hears it, she can figure it out. Like, that's where she's at. She can read the music just fine. Like, but listening to it, you know what I mean? Like, as a parent, you're like, oh, okay, I see what she's playing. She's getting close to it, but she's not quite there yet. If you were playing professionally at 15, I'm just trying to see where my daughter's at on that savant level. See if she's close.
Great. I was a savant.
Yeah.
What kind of savant was I?
I don't know.
I don't know, because there was a lot of stuff that I didn't understand about my playing.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened. Like, these things just made it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have to practice a lot.
Yeah.
This is part of what killed it. So as I started playing the same pieces of music over and over again, because people like to hear the same crap over and over again.
Right. You got bored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do that, and if you tour the symphony or something, you're doing the same thing every night or every other night. The whole show's over and over. So it got really old, and I was like, there's just got to be a better way for me to have a life. And so literally I just made the decision one day, I'm going to go be a cop or a Fed, one of the two. And everybody thinks they want to be a Fed first.
Yeah. I had that discussion. You do.
Yeah, and I got through, I did the whole process with FBI and doing all this stuff, and they basically told me this, yeah, you're going to be good to go, but we don't have an academy for you for up to a year and a half. Like, I have to work. My parents don't want me in their house.
Yeah.
So, and Fort Worth PD was late. So then I just shotgunned it out to different PDs. And so
Yeah.
anyway, I went to Irving PD, and that went fantastically horrible.
Oh, you started at a different spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was up there. It was all kind of family stuff. So I was kind of on the outsider. It just didn't feel like family. It didn't,
yeah.
it's what you feel when you're in a
Yeah.
PD.
How big was the department? Because that's usually
Irving, back then, probably 120,
Yeah.
150
Yeah,
hours.
there's
It
no
wasn't-
hiding. There's no nothing.
No, you couldn't find your own niche or stuff. I was just one of those guys that wasn't related to someone next door neighbor. Or, so there was no connection.
Yeah.
So I left there, but I ended up at Grand Prairie. Before that, I ended up at Forest Hill for a little while doing some reserve and went full time with them. Then I just did dope work down there.
Yeah.
So I went from TCU kid playing symphonies to chasing methamphetamine down Old Mansfield Highway.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
I'm just messing with the volume. Sorry.
Okay. Am I loud or soft?
No. It's good. I'm just seeing where we're trying
Okay.
to find that hot spot.
Ooh, the hot spot.
You know what I'm saying. Try to put bass in my voice. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, before I was done with TCU, I actually started applying because I knew there was so much time
Yeah.
lag. And back then it was like 100 candidates or 200 candidates for like 2 slots. It was tough.
Yeah. You had the highest CJ degree I probably ever heard of. $120,000 CJ degree, killing it. you didn't have to pay for it, so that's nice.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So I would have seen that and be like, oh shit, there he is. It's like the Harvard of cops.
nobody liked it just because you were educated back then. That was
Yeah.
not a big thing, actually.
Yeah.
I would say I was more in the margin
Yeah.
than the regular.
I'm of the opinion now that I've had the luxury of being a cop before I was educated. Look at, because it's still, that stigma's still there. And I just tell people, I'm like, look, it's not, I will tell you right out the gate, just because you come into law enforcement with a 4-year degree does not make you a better cop.
Nope.
But what it does provide is opportunity and perspective. That's the 2 best things I can say about a degree. It's going to give you the opportunities because there's going to be positions that you get over other people simply because you have a piece of paper. And if I can have an advantage over you by having a piece of paper,
Good for
sorry,
you. Yeah.
that's I put the work in to get it. So, and then the perspective, that's the other part. I can tell you, I got a lot more perspective from my master's degree than I ever did from my bachelor's. But in my master's program, I had prosecutors, corrections officers, other cops, feds, what's the social service people.
Yep.
I had all these different, I had one that was a history teacher. So I had all these people, and it was a cohort, so we stayed together the whole time. I had all these people to learn from, see their, point of view, because there's certain topics I get on, especially with juveniles. I'm like, it's horseshit. They keep, I got these kids stealing cars. Y'all don't do nothing with them. You just keep kicking them back out, and then I got somebody on the other side is like, well, this is what you don't see. And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know that. So now I've got that perspective.
It's like my perspective on prison and how we handle incarceration and punishment is very, very different from when I got into policing.
Yeah.
Now I realize we do this all wrong. We are so far off base on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
That we create our own problem.
Yeah.
And part of that's time in law enforcement, but part of it is that educational background and that process that you go through,
Yeah.
learning to question things. And I'm a big believer in rethinking what you're doing, because as soon as you decide that what you did before is going to work again,
Mm-hmm.
you're doomed.
Yeah.
You constantly should be rethinking what you're doing.
Yeah.
Figuring out, does this work as a formula? Because I'll tell you what, formulas don't work in law enforcement.
No.
They just don't.
Because because you went to one domestic, you could go to a domestic right next door the next day, and it's going to be a completely different scenario.
All different dynamics.
Yeah, and so there is no cookie cutter way.
Yep.
There's roundabout templates that can help you,
Yeah.
but that's about it. So, okay, so you get into the music, you go to TCU, you convinced your parents. Now, your parents were cool with you getting a CJ degree?
They were perfectly fine with my education.
Okay.
Mom was never hot on the idea of trading in a bass violin for body armor.
Okay.
Moms never are. They're
Yeah.
if you're going down one track, the
But
arts,
how cool-
wearing tuxedos on stage is a long way from getting your knee blown out because some crack fiend
Yeah.
kicked it out on the side of the highway. Yeah.
So curious, did you ever use your violin as a community policing tactic?
Never.
Never?
No.
Dude, you know how cool it would have been to get pulled over, license, registration. All right, I'm stick tight. I'll be right back. You come back, and you just they can't see you, but is this how you hold those ones? Yeah.
Well, a violin,
Obviously.
but I didn't play the violin.
Whatever. Would you said bass?
Yeah, double bass, which that'll barely fit through your door. Those are the guys on the other side of the stage.
Oh, this
Huge upright. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Never mind.
Not only did I switch from I started with violin, like as my very first instrument,
Yeah.
and that was because my older brother did it.
Ah.
He did it really well.
Yeah.
He writes symphonies and teaches theory and composition and stuff. So
So it's in the blood.
yeah. So he did that stuff. I didn't, but I ended up with the violin, and then I came home. Literally, I never asked mom and dad about this stuff. I just showed up at home. I brought home this bass violin. So now they realize they have to change the car.
Oh
They
yeah.
have to find a place to put this thing. Yeah, it's like buying your kid a Chihuahua, and then he trades it and doesn't tell you, and he brings home a Great Dane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's the first thought out of your mind is like, that's a lot of poop.
Yeah. Okay. So I had the instrument in my head all wrong because my daughter plays the viola, and she goes on and on about how, Dad, it's not a violin. I'm like, it looks like a violin to me. Maybe it's a little bigger, but she's like, it doesn't even have the same chords. I'm like, whatever.
The viola section in the orchestra always looked at my section as a bunch of savage idiots no one could control. I had a thing. The music stands have a kind of two little shelves on the bottom in the orchestra. Well, I would be in concert, even like in a professional gig. I would tilt my stand over towards the back of the viola section and into the wind instruments and brass, but I would have gummy bears, and I would flick them off them and shoot them. They can't do anything to you. They're stuck there.
That's funny.
In the middle of a concert.
Yeah.
They can't throw anything back. They just have to endure it.
That's great. I love little things like that.
Bassists and percussionists were absolutely the worst behaved.
Really?
Instruments, yeah.
Okay. I used to do mean stuff like that playing hockey, but
Yeah, don't let your daughter ever date a bassist or a percussionist. It's a bad idea.
good to know. Good to know. She's not allowed to date ever, but
And never let her date cops. You know that.
oh yeah, yeah, no. Inevitably, that's probably what she'll end up doing, because the harder you try to fight stuff like that, the more they get drawn to it. So
I was like, I never had kids.
yeah, I just tell my kids, do whatever, just be safe and ask for advice. That's it. So if you want to go be a skateboarder, I don't care. Just do it safely, and I try not to rock the boat on anything. So because I was that kid, if you told me no, that's what I was going for.
Yeah, I was that kid that no one had to tell me no. They expected you would never do that, but then I wouldn't do that. Nobody would ever do that thing, you know?
Oh, so you go to Irving and you don't like the fit.
Yeah, and it was hard because the fit was wrong, and then everything kind of fell apart. So I went through almost all the training, and by third phase, I was just plummeting down. I wasn't doing well because I was just going there to survive the day.
Yeah.
And back then, if you weren't doing well, and they would put you with that training officer back then,
The one that made your life miserable.
they had me with one that literally his nickname in the department was Psycho,
Mm.
and it was every bit true. The man was not well.
Okay.
Anyway, I had him for a while. That was not exactly how you retain somebody and move them towards success. It just wasn't. So
Yeah.
anyway, I left, and I knew I was going to have to put in some time to show that, yeah, I can do this job, because I knew I could. I just knew that it was a really bad or a false start or whatever. So I thought, okay, I'll take a reserve slot somewhere,
Okay.
and I'll just prove my worth. I'll put in the time,
Yeah.
because I really wanted it.
Go work for free.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
If you can show you can do it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up over in Forest Hill. And
Yeah.
went over there. That was tough. But
Hey, if any of my Forest Hill people are loud, he said, I didn't say it.
no, they'll say it. I still know Chief Dennis. He and I were officers together.
I got mad at Forest Hill one day, but
I did too.
it's neither here nor there.
Yeah. There's a former chief that demoted to a relief shift sergeant over me being mad.
Oh, Dang.
But,
Okay.
yeah, those are fun days. I learned
Yeah.
about small town politics.
So you went to Forest Hills Reserve?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then immediately got moved out of that to full time. They had an opening. So
Correct me if I'm wrong. Forest Hill is kind of like sandwiched in several different jurisdictions, or is it just one?
no, it's got Everman, Arlington, Fort Worth,
Yeah.
County all around it and stuff.
Yeah. So
It's between Poly and Stop 6. It's not easy.
yeah, they got a lot of flavor over
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Is what I'm getting at. Yeah, and for those wondering what I'm talking, like when I say flavor, like a lot of fun because you get
Oh yeah.
all different. You get, upper class, middle class, lower social class, all different aspects of police work. And
And you get every drug you can imagine.
yeah. If dope's your thing.
Yeah.
I was-
Became my thing. That's where it happened.
Yeah, I was never a dope chaser.
Oh, I was, man. I ate it up.
Don't get me wrong. On slow nights, I would go set up on a dope house and just wait for that car that stops for 5 minutes and leave and go fishing, see what we find. And it's a good time. It's a good strategy. Helps build your felonies up.
And throughout my police career, even when I got to Grand Prairie a few years later, I was still doing dope on the streets, just in
Yeah.
marked car. But I knew how to make it.
You mean catching people doing dope,
Yeah,
not
it's
not doing
doing dope.
dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
That
awkward.
sounds all wrong.
Yeah, because you'd have a gun.
Yeah.
That's always wrong.
So I did it there and had a ton of fun with it. But I had a deal with some of the guys because I hated doing DWI work.
Yeah,
And it wasn't because it was good work to do. It was just,
long.
endless hours. So I always had a deal. If I pulled over someone that was drunk, I could call one of those traffic guys that ate that stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
They would take over. As long as you held things early in it.
Yes.
Just hold on. They'll get there. They took care of all of it.
Let's explain that. So when he's saying hold things, because early in a DWI, there's steps involved, very calculated steps. This is why a lot of officers don't like them, because there are so many steps that you have to hit, and we're just talking about a Class B misdemeanor. So it's not the highest of offenses, but it's got serious repercussions if you don't do it right. I mean, if you let somebody go that is drunk and they hit somebody, now it's on you. And then vice versa, you'd go through all these steps and you arrest them and they weren't drunk, then that's also on you. So there's a lot of steps. The paperwork is so redundant. There's a million steps. So the normal time it takes an officer that doesn't work DWIs regularly, like the traffic person he's talking about, they do them regularly. 45 minutes, they're in, they're out, they're done. As long as they don't have to do blood warrant. For guys like us that don't do them all the time,
It's
and then
hours.
hours.
And we'll get
Hours.
stuff wrong.
Yeah.
If you don't do it a lot, you'll get wrong. Just like my deal with them was, I will come to wherever you have dope.
Yes.
Because I knew everything about everything to ask, everything to do, how it should be packaged, how it should be documented, all of it.
Yeah.
Knew how to test it, knew how to write the report, for the DA, for what they needed. So I ate it up. That was the deal. So I did a lot of dope work. Loved it. Because one thing I understood about drug arrest, you get your variety pack there. You get the person that's burglarizing houses, cars, stealing, fraud, ID, all that stuff. That person that's hooked on dope or dealing it is involved in all those things or some of them. The cost of the drugs is too high, especially if you don't have any good income with it. So I knew that if you go after drugs, that you were going to eventually, somebody's going to keep their radio in the car that night.
Yeah.
It's like, so there was a real reasonable expectation you were preventing other crimes.
Yes.
With DWI, you may have saved somebody else's life, you may not have, but the stretch was further, and it was one person.
Yeah.
This one, somebody's neighborhood didn't get rifled through.
Yeah.
And I always enjoyed the dopers, especially the meth. The meth was the most fun of all.
Well, especially early for your career, like that was the heyday. Like that had
It was, yeah. Well,
I mean, we're talking about that was before they even had the little quick bottle shake method. They were still
Shake and
stealing. Yeah, they were still doing the pseudos
too.
and yeah.
I got in when they were still doing P-Cooks.
Oh.
Phenyl-2-propanone.
Yeah.
Propanone. Where they were still getting, I mean, you could raid a photography store and get the right chemicals to go cook meth with.
Dang.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was still doing that.
Yeah.
And then it changed over to shake and bake,
Mm-hmm.
pseudo, and then they started importing everything.
Yeah.
It was economically
Yeah.
reasonable to get involved with that. Once they started importing,
Yeah.
then everything changed, including the violence level. All of it changed.
It's cool how when things tweak just a little bit, no pun intended, our investigation tactics change because, like you said, if you knew one of the little photo huts got hit, more than likely it's the doper going to steal the stuff they need. And then later on, it was like, all right, pharmacies were getting hit and Kmart's and Walmart's for their Sudafed. And you're like, okay, now my investigation tactics change slightly. Now I start looking into that method. And then you start seeing the bottle method, the shake and bakes. Basically, they put in like a 2-liter bottle or a 20-ounce bottle. And
yeah, you could use any good size vessel.
yeah, most of the time it was a pop bottle, though. Sorry, soda bottle.
Oh my
In
God.
Texas, they get mad if I say pop.
Yeah.
So I just can't help it. 20 plus almost 30 years of saying pop. I'm down here. I'm trying to acclimate. Leave me alone. So yeah, it's just neat how your investigation tactics change, which we can talk later on about how our investigation tactics have changed enormously. But thanks to tech. But continue, sir. I'm sorry. I keep cutting you off.
Oh, where was I? Somewhere
Chasing
around
dope,
1998
meth.
or so.
Meth was
Yeah.
big. You were killing it.
Yeah. And came to Grand Prairie, and they were full of it. I mean,
Okay.
They had every drug you can imagine. It was all good.
So you were reserve, and then
Well, I went to reserve, then I went to Forest Hill for a while. That's when I started working dope.
Oh,
Worked
okay.
dope all the way through there, and got out of there to go to Grand Prairie. Just run more normal life, just larger department. I just needed a bigger pond to play in and stuff.
yeah.
So got on with Grand Prairie in '98 and stayed there until the end.
So how many years?
23 years in Grand Prairie.
How many years did you do in Forest Hill?
I have to go back and look at the exact date or everything, but I think about four and a half,
Okay,
something like that.
nice.
The total time for everything works out around 28, I think.
Okay, cool.
That's why I was like, yeah, I'm good to retire.
So when you went to Grand Prairie, that's what you were looking for, was just more opportunities
yeah,
to either promote or to play in different gyms, basically.
yeah, and also just more structure and more a variety of stuff that was built out.
Yeah.
There's just more room to play.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I jumped from being a cop up in Michigan to coming down here, is just you come work at a major metropolitan area, just the teams to play on, you don't even realize existed.
Well, the funny thing was I saw a kind of I'd call it a bias against small town cops coming to bigger cities. And I believe it can be true that if someone did well there, they might not do well with the complexity and the pacing and some of the changes. That you're more call driven in a lot of large cities than a small county or small city somewhere.
Right.
So you may not be good with being call driven. You may not be good with the complexity of the systems and the interactions with technology and stuff. So some people didn't do well. I found that if you were careful enough in your interview process and really paid attention, you would find people that came from smaller places that had to be very resourceful and adaptive, had to work on their own and solve it and make decisions that
Yeah.
they could live with because they were the only ones that were going to live with them.
More than just report taking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because your first 2 years,
Yep.
lots of traffic stops, lots of reports, stuff like that. Well,
Yeah.
there's no 2 years in a small, tiny agency in the middle of a really tough neighborhood.
Yeah.
So, and we actually, Grand Prairie ended up hiring several people from Forest Hill. It's just local too, but and most of the time that went well.
Yeah. I would say two factors to look in. Population is always like the big one. They want to look at the population in the city.
Yep.
And I think that's a bad tactic, because you could have a city like Flint, where I'm from, where it is 100,000 people, but look at the call load. It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, they were letting what would normally be a priority 1 for us here turn to a priority 2 there, because they had too many like legit priority 1s they couldn't get to.
Yeah.
So that priority 2 robbery where somebody was assaulted is sitting for 24 hours. And so to me, when I look at that, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's only 100,000 population. But look at the call load and look at the types of calls they're taking. And I think that's where background investigators already have a lot on their plate. I get it. But if you're doing any sort of lateral transfers, the point of a lateral transfer is to shave time.
Oh yeah.
So if you're going to shave all that time, then that's the one thing I would dive into. I want to look at call load. I want to look at rank structure, because if it's officer to sergeant, so a lot of the smaller departments, that's what they do. There is no detective.
Yeah.
because the officer is the
Is the
detective.
detective,
Yeah,
yeah.
he does all his own investigation work. And then when the case goes up high enough, then he gives it over to Sarge, and Sarge signs off on his warrant. Like, all right, cool, you
Yeah.
did it. Now, you try to get somebody from our agencies to do that as an officer level, like few and far between. It's not that they don't, but more than likely they don't, unless it's a case they took personal, like they want to see it all the way out. They want the experience type thing. So that's the things that I think in the future, people looking at any type of lateral transfer things, I think that's the important one. Look at the population versus the call load versus the rank structure. I think that would be a new smart way to do it, rather than just, oh, they got a population of 100,000. Yeah, but they live in, Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
There ain't really a whole lot going on. So
Actually, I just looked at Boulder. They had a lot going on.
no, I just made that up. Sorry, Boulder. I just said that because I've been out there before and it was lovely for me. I had a great experience. So,
Boulder needs my help.
do they?
My company's help.
Oh,
Yes.
hey, holla at your boy. Everybody needs a hype man. You up there talking? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. No, you don't think that'll work?
Edit.
Yeah, there's no editing. There's no editing on that. I'm joking, guys. Relax. Gotta have fun. So
had fun at Grand Prairie.
So
Did
you
a lot
did
of things.
28 years
20
total?
23.
23
Yeah,
with
Grand
them,
Prairie,
28 years total.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the cool part was some people leave, they retire, or they quit, or whatever. They go to another job because they wanted out. They didn't actually want out. They didn't want out.
Yeah.
No. An opportunity came along that I'd have to be completely stupid to turn down.
Right.
And
Where you don't risk getting shot at.
well, oddly, now I go to the worst neighborhoods over a broad swath of the United States.
Right.
Because when you actually go to talk to clients into these other places, you end up in some really interesting neighborhoods
Okay.
with no body armor and no gun.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well, hit up my boys up in Flint. They need some help.
I think we have.
Oh, really?
I'll check on it.
Okay.
I'll check on it for you, but I think we have.
Okay. Flint, I'm looking out for y'all. So, all right. So you did a lot of work at Grand Prairie.
Yeah.
You made it up to the rank of sergeant, but I want to talk about the focus on the catalytic converter thefts. So I want you to tell me how you noticed the problem. What wasn't working at first, because I'm sure you had the same growing pains I had trying to figure out how the hell do I stop this? And then tell me how it developed in the end product.
Because I ran the intelligence unit, you see everything, which is really helpful. And you have analysts that can produce lots of data for you, or distill a lot of data for you, to show you we've got a 300% or 800% increase and stuff. That's huge.
Yeah.
Well, the catalytic converter theft it caught everybody a little off guard. I think nationally, I think it did. And it had always existed, but in low numbers. We didn't really think at the time, all the time, or routinely, what the impact of it was as an individual basis. When some guy has a van that has all of his tools and work stuff in it and everything gets burglarized, you realize, oh man, he just lost his livelihood, basically.
Yeah. Like a Ford F-350 Econoline?
I like those.
Yeah. It's like one of the most popular ones, guys, to get stolen catalytic converter.
Yep. So they stopped breaking into the vans and just started getting the gold underneath it.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? The guy's still out of work now. Now he's got tools, but he can't even get to the job. So now you have the loss of the catalytic converter. It's got to get fixed. You're not on the road without it. It sounds like you're firing guns in the morning.
Yeah, it sounds like a massive race car.
Yeah. So you can't run the car. Well, I don't know how long it takes each individual person to get another catalytic converter on there, but I got to think it's probably 2 to 5 days at least to locate one and get it. And they got to come up with the money. So if they don't have insurance, that's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah.
So $1,000 to $2,000, somewhere in there, maybe a little less for some cars, but still a lot of money.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that were getting hit, this was taking them out of the work cycle, which was hurting their money. Then they got hit with the repair.
Yeah.
So individual impact was really high. total numbers, if you looked at the total numbers of all your theft offenses in the city, it still wasn't that high, but it was still a huge spike over all the other offenses of all kinds. But when you look at the actual impact, then you go to companies. There was a parking lot in Grand Prairie that had a lot of Amazon vans in it. That is the money.
Yeah.
Their model is delivery. You don't have 10 of your vans go down. You're not delivering. So that means you got to rent stuff because you still got to deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to hurt.
Right.
Yeah, renting medium duty trucks.
And then you didn't even get into the part nobody talks about is the ones that didn't report it.
Oh yeah, there's the dark number of crime. It's just like burglaries of vehicles. I think the number I was always comfortable with is around the 40% rate. It's unreported. You could generally expect. And I mean, I remember one time my car got broken into. I didn't report it.
Yeah,
because I knew there was nothing that was going to be done. Right.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize there was a value to report yet.
Yep.
I didn't realize that at the time.
Yeah. I fingerprinted my car.
You did.
And I caught him. Yeah. I so at the time, full disclosure, I had a Subaru WRX STI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I had been wanting that damn car. It was a fun car. I had just washed it. Just washed, waxed. It was shiny. And this dude, I have the Ring camera, pulled on the handle on the passenger side. My wife doesn't ride that car because it's a stick. And she doesn't like the jerky motion of the stick shift. So I knew nobody touched that vehicle. And they had a rookie training. And he looks at his rookie and he's like, all right, print it. You know, and he knew I was PD, the officer, the FTO. And the rookie looks and he's like, I don't have my print kit. Oh. And I'm like, I got mine. You want me to get it? And so he looks over his rookie and his rookie's just kind of like, can we do that? And he's like, go wait in the car. So he goes and makes his rookie go to the car. He's like, yeah, get your print kit.
Well, let's do this.
And then do me a favor, just show him how to print. I was like, okay, I can do that. So I ended up showing him how to print. I pull the prints, give it to him. And
then at least you can't complain about the big mess we had. But somebody made it a car.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So print it. And, like I said, on the camera, I saw that he didn't have gloves on and grabbed. And I was like, man, I got like a partial palm, I got thumb, I got everything. Oh, cool. It was beautiful. And he even leaned on the car to pull the handle. Nice. So I had tons of prints. And then, so I'm training this other PD's rookie and give him the card and everything. And I just kind of forget about it because I'm like, it may be hit, may not. Who knows? You know how long that takes. Yeah. Well, about 4 months later, the PD calls or sends me an email. Hey, just want to let you know, your prints turned out. We end up relating like 17 other BMVs in the neighborhood for this one guy, and we put them all on him. I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you're going to court.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
This will be interesting.
So it never did get pulled to court. They had my Ring video. I had written up a statement for them, just telling them.
Plead case.
Yeah, because I ended up chasing the guy. He came across the camera. I got suited up. It was like 3 a.m, so I was groggy, but I was like, he can't have got that far, so I'll just wander. So I walk down the street, and all of a sudden I see a car shaking back and forth. He was kind of smart. I don't see a lot of BMV guys do this. He got in the car and shut the door behind him.
Yeah.
So I was looking for the dome lights. That's what I was looking for, and he had shut the door. So all of a sudden the car starts shaking, and as he's getting out, I'm like, announce myself, police, put your hands up, get down on the ground, and he does. He's putting his hands out the window. I see that he's unarmed, and he gets out, and he looks at me, and I look at him, and he looks to the left, and I'm like, damn it.
Here we go.
Yeah, and all I've got is my gun. I don't have anything else, so I had a flashlight. So he runs. I ain't going to shoot him. He didn't have anything in his hands.
No. Handcuffs?
No. So I holster, but I go running after him, and then he takes a blind corner. I'm like, I'm done. I ain't going after him. I'm not going around that corner. Yeah. Not over some BMV. It ain't worth it. I'm not
getting paid right now.
Yeah, I'm not getting paid. None of that. So I was like, all right, bro, you win this one. You get to go. So I let him go, and everybody, I tell people that story. Why didn't you shoot him? Why didn't you shoot him? Like,
yeah, because I was just,
get out of here. He didn't have nothing in his hands. And was I legally allowed to? Maybe, but I'm not doing that.
It's a bad idea.
Yeah, it ain't worth it.
I don't even want to deal with it. over
No,
that.
no.
Personally,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a
you got my
petty
car.
crime.
I'm not taking your life for it.
no. Yeah, that's how I am. So, like I said, had he presented some sort of threat, done something dumb, okay, I get that. But I saw his hands. I'm not. I can't live with myself on that. So anyway, yeah. So he gets away, goes around the corner, and then I take the time to look. I'm waiting for the police to get there, and I'm looking at the camera. I'm like, oh, he ain't wearing gloves. I just washed my car. I can honestly say nobody's been on that side of the car. I could even prove that with film because my car's been parked in front of the camera the whole time. After I watched it, nobody's gotten in it. So typed all that up for him. And
All the DA outs.
yes. Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
handled. Yeah.
Yep. So it worked. And then, like I said, they ended up linking a bunch of stuff. So I'm sorry. This happens often on the show. We just start going down rabbit holes, and that's why it takes forever. So, which is fine because obviously people are starting to like it. They just like hearing the stories. So I let them listen. Anyway,
maybe a new crew comes in every few weeks just to see if you'll just completely crater or something. Maybe that's it.
That's fine.
It's like going to NASCAR races. You're really looking for
Yeah.
the crashes.
Yeah.
Are they looking for your crash, Eric?
I guess so. I'm okay with that. It was a good ride while it lasted. But okay, so you start seeing the uptick, which it's not hard to see a spike. I want people to understand stats when we're looking at them. Numbers can go any way you want, but these ones, when it comes to intel gathering, they're pretty basic and laid out. There's no skewing the numbers. So if you had 2 catalytic converter thefts a month and then you've got 6 a week,
yeah,
that's still not a lot.
But by percentage rate,
But by percentage, that's huge.
Percentage rate change is huge.
So that's the spikes you're seeing. And initially, that doesn't mean jack shit, but it's something to pay attention to.
I'm having to draw from memory, but I think at some point we were like over 1,000% increase.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of places did that 700 to 1,200% change. And very, very few things have ever changed like that. I think the only thing we saw change like that in any recent history was ID theft, but it was a new crime.
Yeah.
So the increases were natural because people were learning how to do it. So you were going to see
Right.
that. And then it would find its level, its plateau, its norm.
Right.
It would settle.
So with catalytic converter thefts, what is the problem you see with this crime as far as what laws do you have to help and how hard is it to catch?
Very, very hard to catch because now we know that it takes 60 seconds, maybe 2 minutes if you're not good at this. But if you have a good battery-powered reciprocating saw or sawzall, you have that, and you've done this a few times, you should be in and out in 60 to 90 seconds.
Yeah. I've got video evidence of a guy in and out in 27.
Wow.
Yeah. But he had Milwaukee Super Saw,
gonna say
fresh
fresh
battery,
blades.
and fresh blades. He had the Diablo blades. So,
What's funny is I was in a Lowe's hardware store. I was looking at this, and I thought, okay, when we had a meth problem, we just controlled pseudoephedrine.
mm-hmm.
Oh, why don't we just lock up all the blades and tell everybody they got an ID for the blades? Tell Amazon they can't sell except for IDs or something. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it's just too far to think outside the box like that. But I was just looking.
We can't regulate gun sales, and you want to
I was just looking at this wall
It's Texas.
full of, reciprocating saw blades, and I just looked at it and said, I don't even have one of these, but I'm looking at the wall full of them, and I'm like, man, how many of these are going to get put to bad use?
Yeah.
Not good use, bad use.
Yeah.
But the
They're stealing them anyway.
oh yeah, I'm sure that they fly out. My Home Depot that I tend to go to, it's along I-75. I've been in there twice, and I've gone in there for something that shows to be in stock. So I drive down there, and it's not. And so I finally got all the manager, and I go, what's the deal? And he goes, oh, everybody steals everything. Well, you consider only putting 2 of those out at a time, and then doing something to your LE crew.
What?
Yeah, loss prevention, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it irritates me. But along with the rate increase, you start to think of, okay, how do we catch them? We have a smaller window than we do for burglary of a house. That's always considered almost impossible. You got to luck into it sometimes.
Right.
So this is a smaller window. They're more mobile. The thing they're stealing is small. They're not going to put it at the bed of a truck, like loading a
Right.
55.
Where you could possibly see it just driving by.
No, it's all gone.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's all below eye level. And so the likelihood of catching them in the act slim, and the crime is distributed. By that I mean anywhere. Certain places are a little more attractive, certain times of day or night are more attractive, but crime happens everywhere.
Yeah.
So that means you don't have a hunting ground to try and find them. So what do? What do they do? So you have to study the criminal. Say, what are they going to do with it? They got to cash in. They got to convert this thing over to value to themselves. They got to trade for drugs, guns, money. What are they going to do? They got to do money. That's the first thing. So it wasn't a big stretch to figure out, well, the only places they can take these and make money is metal recyclers. And we had a big one in Grand Prairie that this was their specialty for a long, long time. And the business wasn't necessarily illegitimate. They had done lots and lots of legitimate business for many, many years in this. But they were not the people that called when they thought, wow, man, there is a line of cars every Monday morning.
Yeah.
And that's the same guy in that same Kia Rio with another 10 freshly cut catalytic converters. No.
A lot of pockmarks on himself and
Yeah.
acting sketchy and always looking over his shoulder.
He's twitching so much.
Yeah.
So they weren't being proactive or helpful about it. They just weren't. So in thinking about it, and I'll tell you this, I didn't do this alone. And sometimes people credit me with this, but I did not do this alone or in a vacuum. There were other people involved. The Auto Theft Unit Grand Prairie PD was awesome at this. Property crimes too. And then there were people gathering the evidence, analysts and other people in Intel, and the detectives that worked in there. It was a group effort, but the plan that came out was to go after the gathering point. Well, we thought about different ways of doing this. We were Flock customers, and so we already knew the power of LPR and what it could do for you.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything already set up in the area, so we had a camera moved, and we put it upstream or on the inbound towards the metal recycler. Luckily, the inbound side that went to the back of the business where the docks were, this is where business was transacted. Well, that street comes off another street, so it was really nice because there were only so many reasons to go down that street.
I set up on that place for my own investigations. Yeah. We busted people right at the docking station.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what we decided we would kind of throw everything at it once. So we put out a Flock camera early and started watching, and the line of cars on a Monday morning was back towards the main street.
Damn.
It was, you could get 10 to 12 cars easily lined up.
Right.
That's not normal. You expect some of those 3/4 ton and 1 ton trucks and some vans and beat up looking stuff.
Not a Cadillac and an Accord.
Oh, some Lexuses. There was Mercedes. There was Denali trucks. And the little tiny. Oh, there was this little tiny Cube. Whoever makes the Cube.
Yeah,
those things.
Nissan or
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
so help people understand the type of money they're getting per catalytic converter and the differences and stuff. I've talked about it a little bit on here before, but I mean, your second career is based around this whole operation that you had. Yeah. So
the metals inside are what's important. Platinum, palladium, and
rhodium.
What?
Rhodium.
And rhodium. And the rhodium, right, they've decreased in the amount of rhodium in it. And that was just natural that happened. But the metals inside are worth enough, even in tiny little amounts, to make it worth it. So a catalytic converter of, let's just say a Ford truck, just a regular Ford truck, might be worth there at $150 to $250. Prius, well more than that. That's
almost $3,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say $2,500. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's two.
Yeah.
So I think the first one goes for near the 20. It's up there, and then the other one is like lesser.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't even understand why. I've never looked into why one is. I know it's the metals, but I don't know why one has lesser than the other one.
Yeah, one just has more of the metals in them than the other one.
So the money's there.
Yeah.
It's easy. It takes them little time, little equipment, and they view the risk as low.
Yeah. I mean, you're in and out.
Everything is perfect. It's the perfect storm.
Yeah.
The things that drove the metal prices had very little to do with anything here. It was mostly mining stuff and COVID and all that stuff. Tons of stuff came in to do that. It wasn't just COVID. It wasn't just a freak design change. It was tons of stuff came in there to make that perfect storm.
Yeah.
If everybody thinks back and remembers the metal thefts on copper and aluminum a few years before, that spike every once in a while still, but we went through a rough time where 1,000 feet of heavy gauge would get ripped out of highway lamps,
Yeah.
They drag one piece of line on the back end of a dually and drag it for
We had to
half a
change
mile.
recycling laws because of it. I mean, it went from just a regular theft, a misdemeanor, to we had to turn it into a felony to slow it down.
Yeah. So the crime availability was unending. I mean, it's the candy store of crimes.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. Because if you don't catch them in the act, you have nothing.
Correct.
I could pull over a truck with 20 catalytic converters loaded in the back. I can't do a damn thing. I have no laws to help fight that.
Yeah, the only thing you could probably do, and what's done sometimes, is if you had just enough where you could throw it for a property hearing.
Right.
But not everybody's real comfortable with it or understands how that works, or
Yes.
some agencies just don't understand. That's not an illegal seizure.
Right.
If you have supporting evidence that says that this is more likely the proceeds of crimes are stolen, it's worth having a property hearing.
But then you got to link it to a stolen
Sure.
vehicle.
Yeah.
So for those listening, basically what I'm saying is, if let's say I pull over a truck and it is loaded with 20 catalytic converters in the bed, I can say, this guy, he doesn't work for a recycling plant. He doesn't work at a scrapyard. He doesn't work any place that's logical. He doesn't own 20 vehicles to take them off of his own. And he's not giving me a story that makes any sense. So here's my probable cause to seize this stuff for pending investigation, because it doesn't make sense. It's not adding up. I take these, I book them into the property crime room, whatever it is. Now my investigation needs to show later on, within a reasonable amount of time, that these catalytic converters came from this vehicle or these vehicles, or there was a stem of 20 cars that got broken in or got cut, over in this neighborhood. And I caught this guy, a mile and a half away from that zone. And now I'm starting to link stuff together. I take one of those catalytic converters and I go match the cuts up to the vehicle. And I'm like, oh, this is the one. And it matches this, and they all match. And so that's what you have to do. Now we're talking a lot of manpower and time.
And you'll have endless time.
Yeah, you don't have endless time, because guess what? The other guy, he's cutting 20 cats the night, in another neighborhood. So it's really, the way the laws are set up nationwide are very difficult for us to do anything about, unless we catch them in the act or if we catch them selling.
Right.
So
it was the other end. This is what I call Al Caponing something.
yeah.
They could not get him on a lot of stuff, but they got him on the money.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? We're going on the money
Yeah.
side of things. So that old phrase, follow the money thing, it's true. So you follow the money, where does this stuff get transitioned over to something of value to them? Well, that's not the metal recycler. So getting the flock camera up gave us stuff to look at, stuff to distill through analytics. And you get the number of cars, and then you start seeing the number of cars coming in there that have temporary plates. Okay, sometimes that's normal, and where some of the plates are like to a scrap yard. Okay, it's one of their vehicles they just bought from an auto auction. They haven't got the plates on it. They just do it. But it'll have that look.
Yeah.
The Lexus ES350 with the paper plate on it that hauls 7 catalytic converters out of the back seat.
Yeah.
The nicely leather appointed back seat. It's a bit odd.
Yep.
So, and I think everybody can understand that. I mean, it wasn't just law enforcement that could understand that. You could explain it to anybody. And you ended up talking a lot more to community groups, because this started affecting a huge swath of society. So you started talking about how it looks and how it acts and stuff. So when we started seeing the number of temporary tags, that was really significant. And then, because Flock will tell you how many times that plate has been seen, not just on that camera, but any of the cameras in your network, you can get an idea of where they're traveling sometimes, but how often they're at that recycler. Well, when you start seeing the same vehicle 3 and 4 days a week and things like that, I may be exaggerating on something.
You're not.
But more than 2 was a little more 1 and 2, that could fall into all kinds of categories. If you're there more than that,
Yeah.
there's something odd because most of the scrap guys would just go once or twice a week at most.
Yeah. They build them up, then they go.
Oh yeah,
That makes sense.
and you could tell the scrap guys anyway. But
Yep.
when you saw multiple visits, that's when you start going,
Yeah.
okay, now we're narrowing our focus.
Especially the 1s and 2 sales 3, 4, 5
Yeah.
times a week. Those are the ones
That's
you're
it.
just like, dude, you've sold 60 catalytic converters in a month.
In 20 transactions.
And you've made almost like you made more than a teacher makes in a year.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but the part of the case examples that I used with Flock and the webinar I put in with them was the girl that had, I think it was, I want to say it was like $60,000 in transaction or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
She was there all the time.
Yep.
So they make themselves stand out. They have no idea that there's a sophisticated system now working.
Yeah.
And they're still going to the honey hole.
Yeah.
And we're just gathering data. So I don't know, for 2-3 weeks, and then we'll really perpetually after that, still continue to gather data. Once the data is gathering, we're building a plan. We said, well, who do you want the plan? Do you think audit theft, or do you think the property crimes guys? We're like, no, let's blow this up. I had a lot of surveillance assets, and we could see from a long way off. So we got consent from a nearby property owner to put up a big commercial lighting stand with one of these fantastic, surveillance cameras that we had in the police department. And Detective Clay Solis and I, we sat out there and just let it pop over the fence line.
Yeah.
And we were, gosh, I'm going to say 200 yards away.
Solace. I don't know.
Clay Solis. Awesome guy.
I might know him. At least through reputation. Yeah. So
he's still in Intel over there. Okay. And he misses me very much. Clay, I know you miss me. So we're watching it, and on the first run of this, we had a surveillance camera about 200 yards away poking over the top of a fence line. So we would see them as they would come in. Live surveillance was around the area that could see them as they came into or in different stages of their approach or exit. There was a stop sign nearby with 2 lanes going one way, 2 lanes going the other, so they're going to have to cross and turn left. A lot of traffic stuff that has to happen. So stopping at the proper point, signaling in the proper way for the proper distance, stuff like that were easy ones.
Yeah.
But the biggest one, they didn't have front plates on the cars.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. It was easy because then everybody could see it. I could see it. We had a document. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So we knew no matter what was going on, just that car's getting stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't any guesswork. You don't have to do the follows. So you had the marked cars at a further distant orbit, in the neighborhood. But they were, lined up so they could talk, time it out, and know when to expect to be able to come to us at the next intersection that was nearby. So
right.
The first time we did it, I think we closed up shop on the operation, that it was an all-day operation. We stopped after probably 4 hours. There were so many people under arrest and so many catalytic converters and so many cars in the impound and so many people in jail. Yeah. That was the rest of the whole rest of the day was going to have to be just processing all that.
So were you guys intentionally trying to send a message that day? Or was it just you didn't know you were going to have so many customers?
I didn't think we really understood exactly how it would go. You don't know until you really push into it. But we learned from that first one, okay, we need to change a few tactics. And I won't go into all the tactics over, and we're still public on this, but we need to change a few things to make it a little smoother and expand the ability to stop cars.
So is this your guys' first time really using Flock as a...
Like this, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this was a different off angle. And that's something I started using that phrase a lot more around the Flock products. Off angle uses. Everyone assumes it sits on the side of the road, it gets license plates, it sends alerts.
Right.
There's so much more to them.
Yeah.
And there are departments all over the country that send us stories, like similar to the stuff that you send in, about all the different ways and the different things it tells them. There's data gathering. That's cool. That helps a lot on the evidence trail. But how you use it in timing and placement and all those things matter. So with this one, if we didn't have the Flock camera where we did, we would have been reduced to in-person surveillance.
Yeah.
Well, you know where that is. It's not possible to be right on top of it. There's nothing but an open field on one side, a street, and a turn into the bay. You'd have to be sitting right on top of them, and it's just not going to be that accurate, and you're eventually going to get busted.
Right.
So they've done it subsequently, and it's pretty much a repeat of the same success. And there was a unique thing that came out of it, though, that our chief used it as an opportunity to basically advocate with the city council, to change the city ordinance, or to take one that was in existence and really to modify it. So they and the city attorney, they worked it back and forth because we had all this supporting data that said, look how bad this is, and look at how it works. Okay? So they were able to put together a city ordinance proposal and get to the council, show them, here's the problem, because we had data collection.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's hard to make your argument off of just, you've seen this on the news a lot. That's not going to be good enough. Nobody's writing local legislation over that. So using the stats from the arrests and the operations, and then the data from the block cameras, that was enough. So we had an ordinance generated that was very restrictive on illegitimate activities. Didn't restrict the businesses' legitimate ways of taking those catalytic converters in from legitimate folks.
Yeah, your scrap yards and stuff like that. Yeah.
Didn't change that at all. They would be able to provide everything, and they would be able to do that documentation. But our ordinance at the time back then at Grand Prairie was, you got like 15 minutes to call the cops if certain things happen.
Right.
If someone presented certain things or tried to sell, and it wasn't from the car they owned or that they had present that was titled to them, they had 15 minutes to call us, or they're in violation of the ordinance.
Yeah.
So there were more. It's funny. There was more teeth in that ordinance than the new state law.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we're still missing in the whole legislative portion of all this is the ability to quickly and easily use expert opinion to seize the material, and then have people provide more proof over where all those came from.
Right. So what he's getting at, and this was, I had put up some suggested legislative fixes prior to the new legislative update.
Yeah.
And my best idea that I thought to do this was, if I catch you with 3, 4, 5 different credit cards on you that aren't in your name,
There's a presumption.
There's a presumption there. I can charge you and grab those, and then the investigation's on from there. I think the same thing should be applied to catalytic converters. If I catch you with 2 or more, which it's not beyond the realm of possibility for you to have one. Maybe you've got a car. Maybe you got a buddy that had a car, and he's like, yeah, take it. I'm going to go scrap this car. Whatever it is. Okay, cool. We'll assume 1. But if you've got 2 or more, you need to prove with a title, a VIN number, whatever, the vehicle you got it from. You got to show some proof of ownership on that. If you can't prove ownership on that, when I catch you with several catalytic converters in your vehicle, there's a presumption. These are stolen. And I should have a felony charge to go along with that, because a misdemeanor charge, and this is one of the things that we found. I talked to a guy who was making near $30,000 a month that we finally caught. And what he said to me blew my mind. He goes, I don't care if you guys catch me. I make more money in the times you don't catch me than the times you do. He's like, so I'll bond out. He's like, I'll go to my court trial. He goes, even if I did a year, I still made $30,000 a month. What are you going to do?
It's the same thing as drugs come across the border.
Yeah.
They'll send 100 loads knowing that 15 won't make it.
Right.
Big deal.
Who cares?
They don't care. It's part of their business model.
Yep. So it's the same with these catalytic converters. They're as good as gold, man.
There. And I checked and I talked to detectives that I know too, from a variety of places. All of them were generally of the opinion that the rate of theft has not gone down substantially, but that now everything gets shipped out of state. We knew that was a likelihood, but the legislation wasn't written in cooperation with the federal government.
Yeah.
To lay out a plan for that.
Yep.
Because it was foreseeable. Everybody knew that if there was state legislation, that you can just go on the internet and find 100 places all over the United States to send these things.
Yeah.
You send it in, you send some pictures and stuff, they proof it and say, yeah, we'll offer you this. They get it. They say, yep, that's what it is, and they send you your money. Yeah. I think the worst thing you risk with any of them is shipping.
Yeah.
So now it's out of state. Okay. This provides some other opportunities. But really now there's a kind of a two-pronged approach to that. That's going to be a financial crimes investigation, because the money is going to get almost always wired, right? There's trails to that.
Yeah.
Cross state lines, trails. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Downside, how many Fed offices
Are investigating that.
or can?
Yeah.
How many investigations can they absorb to that?
Yep.
Right? So they'll have to look at only the large outfits. So what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to go to the other end of it, just like we did, and look at the inbound side to those businesses.
Yeah.
And go after them. So it pushes them to do it, and it pushes other states to do it. So the model should be for each state to place requirements for the receipt of a catalytic converter from out-of-state sourcing.
Yeah.
And that certain things have to happen with that. So each state attorney general should all be involved in that kind of effort. Because if you can't, getting federal legislation written is not, it's not an overnight process.
Right.
So to ask the feds to do it is probably a long stretch. You could get the states attorneys generals all over the United States, especially the big states that do
Yeah.
this.
Pave the way, make it easy for them.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And as long as there's nowhere to really push it, there's no way to, you can't take a catalytic converter and extract the stuff on your own.
Right.
You just really can't. There's just no way. So there's not going to be a black market for that. You have to have the right stuff to do this, and that's not cheap and it's not safe either. So if they will go and the states individually enact laws about inbounds, it should be the final effort at attenuation. But you have to start, literally, I watched it start at the local level. So what happens? You do get local thefts that will dip down. Then you go to the bigger picture. Well, the nice thing is, blocks everywhere.
Yeah.
We can teach this. That's why I did the webinar.
Yeah.
Hey, this is how you run this operation.
Yep.
There's other ways of following a catalytic converter thief. A lot of times we don't have a plate or something.
Yeah.
No, we know that there's a red pickup truck involved. So that's it. But we know it happened sometime between these hours and these hours. But a lot of times this stuff's overnight, neighborhoods and stuff, or business parking lots where cars are just left. So, a red pickup truck gets involved because you have somebody camera, a Ring or even a business's CCTV. But it's good enough for regular cab, red truck. Let's say it's just, you don't even know if it's a regular cab. It's a red truck. You go into the Flock system, you program it in to alert on a red truck. Just red truck, right? Now you can scan for all your red trucks and you get alerts on them. But you only put the red truck in to your metal recyclers. Your camera's near there. That's all. And sometimes it can even be the route to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the one.
The one that's in the area during the
Yeah.
time and date.
Yeah.
And
that's
holy shit, you've just eliminated a
Yeah.
lot of
trucks.
trucks.
It's always eliminating more and more
Yeah.
all the time until you're down to just a handful. Now you've taken what I call a clawback. Each detective only has 40 hours a week. If they have to cull video or talk to people or go find video, it's for each case, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
The camera can work for you tirelessly the whole time. So you get Joe Blow that has the red truck. He comes to your recycler 3 days a week. Okay. Now you have a plate.
Yeah.
Take the plate. Now you plug it in as a hot list. You plug it in a hot list on certain areas or certain cameras or only certain people to alert certain people. But now, Joey, we'll just use the name Joey. Joey, who we probably know, Joey's now out at 2:15 in the morning hitting cameras. And you had that alert set up to go to all the patrol officers. Now, every cop on duty knows Joey is out doing bad things.
Yeah.
Right? How long do you think Joey's going to last?
Not long.
No, he's got a short night ahead of him.
Yep. That's what's cool about Guys, like, again, I keep talking about Flock because I got in law enforcement for a reason. I got in law enforcement because I want to slow crime down. I knew I never was going to stop it, but I want bad guys to think twice. And I want them to think twice because police are smarter than what they're given credit for. And I want them to know that the tools that are out there, like Flock, we figured out ways to use a tool in 10 different ways that they never intended. And I don't want to say that they never intended, but I never expected.
Correct. That would be a better one. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think
we have the fantastic experience of, as a company, knowing that our product was good, and now as much as we made it good, law enforcement made it great.
Right. It's like having a Leatherman. Okay, you got a Leatherman. Okay, cool. It's got a screwdriver. It's got a knife. It's got maybe a little saw blade on there, and it's got some vice grips.
Bottle cap opener.
And a bottle cap opener.
That's important.
But you learn over time with your Leatherman that you can do so many more things with it that you didn't expect, and it's not in the manual. Like, you don't have it there. And that's exactly how the Flock tool ended up working for me. And once the light bulbs started going off for me, I'm like, oh my God, like, this is, first off, you get the whole, like, this is cool. Like, Flock alert, cool. Where's it at? Let's go get it. Cool. Oh, it's close.
The first thing is the stolen car thing.
Yeah. So, I think back to pond hockey when I was a kid. There's the puck. All the little kids go towards it. So that's what happens. Cool. And then you start to learn, like, there's more strategy to this than just chasing the puck. Maybe I need to sit back. Maybe I need to wait. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to take the play away from the puck and cause a distraction or whatever it is. And it's the same with Flock. Maybe I don't need to put this on a hot list and let all the patrol know who I'm going after. Maybe I only let specialized units know. Maybe I just keep it for myself because I don't want to ruin an investigation. Maybe I just sit back and intel gather. Maybe I build a case, maybe I learn something about the person I'm after before I ever start chasing them. Because
you got enough to figure out who they are.
Right. And I figure out not just who they are, but they're not the only person using a vehicle. They're not the only person that's out and about at this time of day. I mean, there's so many, and I'm just going off the top of my head. There's so many more things that I can't even think of right now. And again, I wouldn't plug it if I didn't believe in it. I want to lower crime throughout the nation, but I can only focus on where I'm at. So if this is a vessel to get the word out that this is the next best thing, I said this before, and I've never heard anybody else say it, so I'm taking credit for it. It's the next best thing since DNA testing for law enforcement. I truly believe that.
For the amount of dollars that an agency has to spend on things that will be effective.
Yeah.
Okay. This is roughly $7 a day for every little soldier you put out there.
Right.
Okay. That soldier never goes to sleep, never blinks, doesn't rationalize anything. Oh no, that guy 7 times at that pawn shop this week. No, he's good. He's probably working there. No, it doesn't think that way. It just gives you the data.
Yeah.
You get to decide. They can see in the dark, and they don't blink. They don't look away. They don't get distracted.
Yeah.
Okay. I just described the thing that cops cannot do because we're humans. So I'm a huge believer that the Flock LPR cameras maximize the abilities and accuracy and efficiencies of the things that humans aren't good at. Okay, cops never like to hear that they're bad at something. But bottom line is we're not wired to do it the way we need it done.
Yeah.
So when Flock is watching all the major corridors in your city for you and telling the officers when there's a stolen car there, there's a sex offender, or there's someone on a hot list because they're known to be a burglar of movie theaters, right? You've got cameras near there. When it's doing all that, the officer doesn't have to sit there and look for that car because it's got a system doing it for him.
Right.
That officer can now go dig into other things and become more proactive in other ways. So you don't just get the efficiency of the camera system alone getting you more arrests. You get your officers doing more of what you would love for officers to do a lot of, but they often don't have the time for it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just provide one end of it. It frees up the time on the other. So there's a more and more value. That's the crazy thing I started realizing when I got it over at Grand Prairie was the things have value that I don't even think Flock originally realized. I mean, the beginning of the story of Flock was the CEO, Garrett Langley, he had a problem in the neighborhood. There was a burglary of a vehicle. Well, they didn't have a system to collect evidence that he could use to find out who did it and get him prosecuted. Well, he made it himself. He and some friends.
Yeah.
So they did it on their own. They built a few. And they realized, oh, this could work. So they targeted HOAs, neighborhoods, and things like that, businesses, things along those lines.
Yeah.
Well, that was cool. But the people that really needed it were the police. And now we've got it. And while LPR is not a new technology that's out in the last 3 or 4 years, part of the big difference with Flock is how it's sold and managed for the agency. Pricing is much better. It's much more affordable. But the interface is fantastic. I've never, ever seen officers just buy into something so fast.
Because it's instinctive.
It's
It's like when you get an iPhone.
yeah.
Like when I got an iPhone, I'm not the most technology savvy guy,
But it was easy.
But it was easy. You get it, and you're like, this makes sense. Okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's how Flock is.
And the Flock, right out of the box, the first thing, if the officer only knew how to log on and search for things and how to read what came to them in the screen,
Yeah.
they'd have enough to get on patrol the first day. But you could put that on a card, right?
Yeah.
So they get out there and they start getting the alerts. Well, even the alerts are simple. They're formatted correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you what it is, what direction it's going, shows you the plate real clearly so that you can actually check it, because then you're going to verify it. That's the other thing they do.
Yep.
Make sure that this is what we're looking for and that it's still wanted or stolen or whatnot.
Because the plate could come, like, it could read as, XXX333, and you look at it on the picture and you're like, oh, the computer messed up because that's not what it really says. So there's a verification process to ensure that doesn't happen.
So every time an officer gets a hit,
Yes.
it's incumbent upon them, and then we preach this constantly. Always check it through your official sources.
I have never had a bad plate read, by the way.
I don't ever recall having a bad plate read. I had reads that were what we call lower confidence reads, that were like distant plates that we don't even have a camera that says, oh yeah, we read plates at that distance. So you'd look at it, but even some of those, and a lot of them actually were the right plate.
Yeah. Over a year's worth of using it almost daily. I could 80% confidently say probably use it daily, but since it's been available to us, let's say almost daily, never had a bad plate read.
No, I don't recall ever having a bad
And
plate read.
we always double check, because with LPRs that happens.
Sure.
Let's say 2 out of 10 times you'll get a bad plate read
Or
on LPR.
let's say you get mud or something on the plate, it changes the character.
Right. Or the plate's bent, or it's
But a lot of times, because we send the image of the plate, you'll see that too.
Yes.
And so you'll know, let me check that. You're going to check it anyway, but you're going to know now, I want to look at that. That looks funny.
Yeah.
How that, digit looks like something else.
Right.
So paper plates, the temporary plates are big on that, because there's little variations on the theme. I remember the first time I put out a demo. This is when I was an early adopter of Flock at Grand Prairie. And I was not an early adopter of technologies because I got burned a few times running an Intel center, building it from scratch and stuff. And you'll realize how many people want to sell you stuff.
Yeah.
You'll never hear from them again after.
Like Google, no. Was it Google Glass or was it Apple?
Google was Glass. Or
Google,
Glass was Glass.
yeah. Like I was in, man. I was even talking to the developers. It's like, this could be one of the next best things for law enforcement, with the idea kind of like how Flock is.
Yeah.
You're on patrol. You just, wherever you're turning your head, it's scanning plates for you. And I was like, this could be the next thing. And then it just kind of flopped.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I hear you on that.
Will it come back someday? Someday that'll come back. But
Yeah.
Where was I talking about? Oh, when we brought it in, we tested the waters very carefully. I'd love to take credit that I brought Flock to my agency.
Yeah.
I didn't actually. My chief ran into a couple of people from Flock at a convention. That was what that great thing where chiefs go to conventions and they come back and then they get assigned to do demos of companies on the things that they saw at a convention hall. So you spend 3 weeks after every convention your chief goes to doing demos. So they sent me Flock. My chief, Daniel says New York Grand Prix. And I looked at it now. This is a trail camera. This is junk. I'm not doing this. So anyway, but he asked, and I work for him. So I called him up and I said, hey, my chief wants to do a demo. So we came out, put a camera up over by our outlet mall. I didn't even realize it was down the street from a Harley Davidson dealership. I wasn't even thinking of that.
Yeah, wouldn't have you.
And then I started getting motorcycle plates. I had a previous LPR company, and all their equipment is still hanging on poles. Literally, we had them for a year and a half, 2 years, and we just left it up there.
Okay.
Because we couldn't get service, we couldn't get anything done, so we just left them. Well, I did know I never got a license plate or temporary plate off those, and I was getting motorcycle plates. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And then I started realizing, I'm getting temporary plates, I'm getting out-of-state plates, correct. I was amazed. I was like, wait a minute. This is not a trail camera. This is something much further ahead than the other guys.
Yeah.
I was looking at the interface. I was like, there's almost no training drag on this. I can move through this system easily.
Yeah.
It wasn't a busy visual interface. It was simple, and I could dig through it and search, do all kinds of stuff. I could do it easily. And I realized, wow, I'm getting all those templates. You know how many of my criminals use temporary plates? Motorcycle plates, but it was nice. I could get them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always had a penchant for outlaw motorcycle games. I always wanted them. So
yeah, I keep harping on this because I know how it appears from the outside looking in. Of course, Levine. It's one of your sponsors. You're gonna harp on it.
You were doing this long before we were a sponsor,
right? So I started doing it for a sponsor. HRH Combat is a sponsor of mine. I don't sit here every day. It's a gun store. They're great. They make cool products. They make great guns. I love their guns. I love this. They made this gun. It's out here, but I don't sit there and harp on it every day because at the end of the day, gun's a gun, and it everybody knows what it does.
It'll do its job. It's ultimately intended to do how many times in your career?
Right.
Maybe once.
Hopefully.
Maybe.
Right. So,
how many times where is it? Where's my Flock camera?
Oh, it's right here, sir.
Well, this is the star of our show.
There
we are
it is.
merely bit players in this. This is the star of our show.
Yeah. Kind of looks like a Wally. A little bit. A black Wally.
I can't approve you calling it Wally.
I know. But that's what it looks like to me. And I can say that.
How many times does this do stuff for you every day?
Multiple times. And now, especially with as many as I have, I was showing you the alerts that I have.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking 9 alerts just in a 15-minute time span. So it does daily jobs for me. But I come from a larger department who has probably more of these than most departments.
You'd be surprised how many small cities have 20 and 30 of these. And I mean small, like a few square miles small.
Really?
Have 20 and 30 of these. I fly out to them. I talk with them. I consult with them.
Yeah.
They cover their city with them. And
It's smart because you couldn't do shit as a criminal in that town.
Exactly. And they learn that. And and the thing is, there's always a learning curve on these things. And when they have to learn, they can't go to that city. Okay. Or they've got to do it on a bicycle, have fun with that. But the idea
Covered up the QR code. Look at me being smart. I don't know what that QR code does, but I covered it up. So
the rapid return on this was incredible. At that Intel Center, I had the world's best facial recognition. Not some knockoff or part of somebody's package. We had the very best.
Yeah.
It paid off, sometimes in big ways. But not every day, not every week, maybe not even a month.
Yeah.
It paid off. We had video analytics. It's tough, but it paid off. We had a lot of cameras. We had a large surveillance camera operation that basically covered the city's intersections and ingress egress points and some high crime areas. They paid off sometimes. The databases that officers use, they paid off sometimes. The drones. Oh, those were great. That was something I really had a lot of fun with.
Yeah.
It was also torture, but they paid off all the time, but not in the same way. They were helping do things that officers could not ever do before, things that were beyond our technological scope. The flock cameras fundamentally changed what happened out in the field. The activity level in the field changed. Even some of the guys that you might not have actually seen them do a lot of proactive work, let's say they were coasting.
Right.
Those guys, they get a flock alert, they go for it.
But she just made the job easier.
Heck yeah. And it got fed to them.
Yeah.
And it was interesting stuff.
Right. And my argument is, I don't give a shit. I don't care that you're the officer that coasts and just rides call to call and gets by, does the bare minimum to make your paycheck without getting in trouble. That's fine. If that's the type of person you are, that's cool. Hats off to you. You know, you're still doing a career field that, 99% wouldn't do.
Yep.
So, but if this one product makes you jump on calls because you know it's going to be a fun call and it's going to get somebody off the street and you're going to catch somebody more than likely, I'm in. Because you just motivated a cop that wasn't motivational.
Well, and yeah, some cops that will perform other functions with it right away. Investigative function.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to go run and gun it every day. Okay. I'm sure you and I have had lots of police chases, right? You get smarter about them over time.
Right.
The risk you take and the fun you have in the beginning is different than at the 15 and 20 and 25 year mark.
Right. You can tell because you'll listen to your old radio calls of how you called out the pursuit the first time. And then the next time you're, later on in your career, like, yeah, he's taking a left at Albuquerque, Yeah. Now he's north. He's 20 miles per hour.
Yeah.
He's probably going to run. Your enthusiasm just goes out the window.
Well, at least you know what's happening and you don't get overexcited. But
yeah,
the other officers, while something's happening in another area of town or even in their sector or what have you, what they would be doing is they hear there's a robbery at the Valero gas station, right? Suspect left, green truck. There's officers on their way. Now, they may be trying to do this, but the other officers, they're hearing, and they're running it, and they're digging. Literally, if you ask the homicide detectives, robbery detectives, the guys on the street, the first tool is flock now.
Yeah.
And go to any department that's had any time with one of these systems in, it's the first tool they pull out of the bag.
Yeah.
I'll leave the name out, but there's someone that works in homicides and robberies and major crime stuff in my old department. And he told me that the first tool they go to is this.
Yeah.
And they look at all that first because this will get them further distance earlier. And in certain types of investigations, that matters.
I have a team of 5 that works for me. I work property crimes. Everybody knows that. Flocks are bread and butter, but we have several different avenues that we do. We have something called Leads Online.
Yep,
I won't get into the specifics of that, but you know how Leads Online is. So I have Leads Online. We have social media, got Flock, and then we have our internal databases on things. So it's always, I look at the team, I said, all right, here's the case. This is what I need. It's like a fight. Yeah. I got Flock. Because it's the easiest avenue to go after.
Yeah.
And the person that finds the flock hit, the flock lead, is like that's the 70% solve rate that we need to start getting new details in the case. It's not that we can't find other things, but for things like property crimes, it's a dime a dozen daily. Yep. I mean, I've got 15 cases a day, let's just say, for property crimes. So if I can't get a good lead on any of these 15 cases that day, okay, they're gone.
They're dead.
I'm on to the next case. The next day, the next 15 that come in. So when you get something decent on a flock,
remember the other thing at the other end of it is, and this is why police departments, especially at the administrative end, knows more people get their stuff back, especially stolen cars, much faster when there's a flock system around.
Yes.
It does. Something kind of magical happens also with flock that's kind of cool. I've watched it over and over again. Regionalization. It starts out with a few satellite cities. I was a fairly early adopter in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex of the Grand Prairie PD when we took it on. There were probably a handful of agencies.
Without mentioning my agency, were we on yet?
Not.
You were before us.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So Dallas wasn't on. Well, actually, no large agency, big, like that 500,000 population range.
Right.
None of them were on yet in the area. So it was all satellite cities. And we were killing it.
Yeah.
And then what did police departments do? They tell other police departments how they're killing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always, I'd like to think it's always, philanthropic or what have you. Sometimes it's just, yeah, we're doing it better than you. It's a competitive thing. Hey,
right.
You know what I've got? I got this. You don't. I'm killing it. You're not. Right?
Yeah.
It does go that way.
Hey. Well, you're talking about a lot of A-type personalities.
Very. Yes.
So,
but the bottom line is, when one agency finds out that another agency has a tool that's killing it, they want to know about it. Well, for a long time, if you had a certain type of technology like this, it was like, yeah, you need $250,000 to $1 million to jump in.
What was the old stolen car system? Oh,
The tracker system?
yeah. Come on, I know you know what I'm talking
LoJack?
about. LoJack, yes.
Yeah. Oh, it's still around.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what it reminds me of. Remember when LoJack came out?
Yeah.
And
but you had to have the cars all configured for
Right.
antennas, and then you had to.
right, but at the time that was innovative, and nobody had anything like that. And if you saw a department that had LoJack, you were like, "What the?"
They were cutting edge.
Fuck? Yeah, you guys were like, that was the envy. Like, oh my god, they got 3 patrol cars that got LoJack on them. That was the shit.
And then trying to find a stolen car in LoJack. That was fun.
Right.
And it took a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And
But before that, there was nothing, it was old school police work.
the problem with LoJack was also the entire system relied upon other people outside of law enforcement footing a pretty hefty bill.
Yes.
So an ordinary person, that makes, let's say, $40,000 or $50,000 a year, just put it in the middle. Can they blow the kind of money they need to put like a tracker system on their car? Maybe not. They're already spending enough on the car alone and stuff. Now you're asking them to do that?
Yeah.
So the law enforcement may have a better shot at recovering it. Okay. Law enforcement can do it at $7 a day per unit here.
And actually put your taxes towards something
Heck yeah.
that they're
Think about
asking for.
when companies look to move to a city, what are the 2 top things they ask about? Safety, schools. It's almost always there. Right?
Yeah.
There may be some infrastructure, ingress, logistics stuff, warehousing and stuff like that, but they can get their employees and new employees to come out there unless they know there's a reasonably decent level of safety and the schools are good.
Yeah. Then taxes.
Yeah. But so part of what you're looking at is value.
Yeah.
It's not just for the law enforcement side. We always think of the cops love it because of this.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, people love it because it gets their stuff back. Okay?
Yeah. Which is why I'm in property crimes.
Yeah.
I love it. It's addicting.
Well,
It's the best job satisfaction I've had in my 17-year career. I've helped out on, and it's not to diminish some of the other things I've helped out on. I've helped save people's lives. Trust me, that's very rewarding. It's more rewarding than anything else that's happened, but it's not consistent. It's the luck of the draw.
rarity. Yeah.
But when I can consistently get people their stuff back, especially like what you were talking about earlier, when it's their livelihood. Yeah. Let's face it, down here in Texas, you have a lot of people looking for the American dream coming from other countries. And I'm not getting into the political side of things because I don't care. I got a guy over here working his butt off to buy a work van, and he's got it filled with tools that he paid for, and he wasn't thinking to write down the serial numbers, everything. He wasn't thinking to do all that because he shouldn't have to worry about somebody stealing his livelihood for him to support his family.
Yeah.
And then he comes over here, and the worst happens. He gets his vehicle stolen with all of his tools, everything he needs to survive. He's got a job waiting the next day. He's got to explain to all the people that he's supposed to show up to for jobs.
He's got to hand those jobs off to somebody else.
Yeah, and he's got to tell them, like, hey, I can't make it. I can't honor what I said I would do because somebody took my, nobody wants to hear that excuse. And then
nobody's calling him for the second job.
Right. Exactly. And so now I got this ability as a property crimes detective / corporal. I run a field team. I get to go out. Not only am I writing the warrants and doing the investigative side, I get to be the guy out there with a team and get the property and get it back to the people that they got their stuff stolen. So when you give back somebody their livelihood, it's a selfish reason, but it's an addictive reason to keep doing the job. I try to do it as best as I can, but seeing their reaction,
That's huge to
it's
them.
so, I can't explain the feeling I get when I know I just gave somebody back their ability to support their family. And you see, like they're so thankful most of the time they don't even have the words. They can't.
How often did that happen before you had an LPR partner like Flock?
Before that, I don't want to say few and far between, enough to keep me addicted to the job.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, when I go to work, I'm so excited to go to work. I described it this way one time, that knowing how well I can do my job, it gives me goosebumps in a career that I didn't think I'd get that anymore. Honestly, and I'm being 100% truthful. I think about it, and knowing how well I can do my job now, it's improved whether it's a cheat or not, I don't care. The results are all I care about. And like I said, when you can give somebody back their livelihood, God, that's the most rewarding thing I can think of. And I get to do it so often.
And you realize there's how many of you out there?
Not a lot.
Oh, yeah, they are.
No.
I go to those agencies that are
I mean, not a lot of people with that drive.
No, there are more
Yeah.
cops that are more engaged, and there's more people getting their stuff back all over the country. And it's not because LPR just happened.
No, it's been around forever. I say forever. It's been a long time.
A lot of agencies couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
They weren't being taken care of. It was expensive in a lot of different ways.
And it's not real time.
And it wasn't this fast.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't easy to use. Right. And it's not just because I'm on the other side of the table now selling, I'm not even actually a salesperson for Flock. I'm a consultant, but I'm on that side of the table now. I was on the other side of the table for decades. Right. And what I see now on the other side is incredible.
Let me cut you off. I want to point out this point that I'm thinking in my head. You've known you were going to be a cop since 8th grade.
Yeah.
Minimum. You've had a drive for one reason, to help people. Fair?
Yep.
Okay. I would, maybe it's an overestimation, but let's say 70% of cops had that feeling. And that's why they're in the job. Let's say 70%. They want to help people. And now you've got a person who was in a position to help people through law enforcement that retired to serve a cause towards a product because he knows how much more he could help other agents. The way you're able to help now with your experience to drive it's not just any product, it's a product that works.
Yeah.
So that's my point.
I don't have to. There's no selling involved for me.
Right.
Because I make no commissions or anything. I'm just a salaried guy that goes out and consults.
Yeah.
What I do is I actually make sure that the agency is going to get a smooth start with everything, that they understand all the other uses for it now. Because when I started, no one was there to help me understand all the different ways we could use it.
Because they didn't do the job.
Correct. And now we have consultants in the company to go out and reach out to the law enforcement and say, hey, okay, here's all the different things that you can do with this.
Yeah.
I spent 28 years in law enforcement. I regret 0 days. Okay. There were days.
Yeah.
We've had those. So I regret 0 days of it. But at 28 years, I was doing the best that I had done in my entire career. Okay. How many people at the end of a law enforcement career are in the wheelhouse they wanted to be in, that they're doing their best work, that they're accomplishing the most, and have the greatest job satisfaction in their entire career? Name me a chief even that feels that way.
Right.
How many of them will tell you the best job they ever did was a sergeant? a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Most. Yeah. That's
Because-
the rank.
Yeah, and I listened to people
Yeah.
who were chiefs and assistant chiefs, deputy chiefs and stuff, and they said the most fun I ever had, the most satisfaction I ever had was when I was sergeant.
Yeah.
So I never promoted past sergeant. I had opportunities to do so, and I could have, but I did not because I knew that I got the most, the community got the most, the department got the most. It was the best. So that's where you find your happy spot.
Yeah.
Well, at 28 years, what do you think it takes to pull someone out of their peak where they built, I built this incredible mechanism in this intel unit. It was fantastic. It was an incredible journey. What does it take to say, nope, I'm good. I'm ready to go? You don't just leave, right?
Yeah.
Or to flock, because this box can go everywhere in the country. I knew what it would do. I knew how many people it would affect. And it's not just because, could somebody else do LPR? Yes, there are other companies that do LPR. Out of all the vendors I had, out of all the companies that did tech with us and stuff, where we had platforms that had varying levels of success,
Yeah.
there were only two vendors that consistently underpromised and overdelivered. One was Flock. The other one was called Trinity Innovative Solutions. I'll throw a little pitch in there for them.
I haven't heard of them.
They're a custom fabricator, and they actually built all of our modules for our surveillance systems and stuff.
Oh, okay.
That was also a company that said, we'll do it, and guess what? They did it.
Yeah.
I didn't have to wait for it. They were usually ahead of time on stuff. Flock was the same way. They did what they said they were going to do, and often more. They were ahead of the clock for me almost every time. So this is a company that took care of law enforcement. Well, 28 years, there's only so many years left you're going to be in this. At least happy.
Yeah.
So I thought, they have a position for a consultant to do mostly interact with law enforcement agencies all over the country and bring them this. I mean, they've heard about it most of the time. Okay, if they haven't, I'm surprised. But if they have heard about it, they just need someone else to help them understand
it. Yeah.
really all that you can do with it. And I could tell them, this is how I built it. This is how it all worked. This is when my auto theft detectives found a new work level.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And I'm able to tell them, hey, get a big whiteboard, put it on the wall. You're going to need to track this stuff because it's going to be busy.
Or be like me. I've got 3 whiteboards.
Yeah.
Large whiteboards. Yeah.
And I've been to departments now that actually keep track of flock wins.
Yeah.
And they keep track of it now on a weekly, daily, monthly, quarterly basis.
Yep.
There are agencies around here that I talk to that keep stats on how many stolen cars do they get? Where do the stolen cars come from? Are they local? Are they from out of the area? How many arrests come from each one of those cars?
Mm-hmm.
How many guns are recovered? How many other charges, especially felony charges, result from each one of those arrests? It's stunning to watch the numbers because you have the numbers from before.
Mm-hmm.
I usually skip 2020 numbers. I go to 2019 and before.
Yeah.
So when I look at 2019, 2018 numbers and look at their numbers now and what they get, it's tremendous. So 28 years in law enforcement, I knew I could still fight crime.
Yeah. So part of one of the things that I think gives integrity to the show is devil's advocate. When I look at this, one of the first things I think of is Big Brother.
Sure.
And overreach.
Yep.
And data privacy and things of that nature. So I can tell you, at least with the agency that I'm a part of, one of the things that we absolutely follow is that our cameras are set up in public areas that there's no reasonable expectation of privacy. Joe Blow citizen could be down in the same area filming. Like that's what we do. We're not going into houses. We're not going into backyards. We're not doing anything that's overreach. And I will be the first to tell you that if my agency tries to do something like that, I'm going to try to keep them in check the best that I can. But Flock does their own third-party protection stuff for privacy. Is that correct? Am I wrong on that?
Well, No, what we have set up is a 30-day retention schedule. When I first heard it, I was like, man, that's really short. Because the other system I had used, we went back and we looked for a city vehicle because there was a complaint on it or something. I forget what it was. And we found records that were 11 years old
From a camera?
from an LPR camera.
Holy shit.
Okay. Do you think the average citizen is cool with the police department holding on to records for 10 and 11 years?
I'm not cool with the police department
Right.
holding on for 11 years.
Yeah. So what I thought was, okay, that's crazy on that end. Is 30 days workable? What we found out was after we got it, because Flock was adamant, we do 30. I thought, wow, the company's telling me what I'm going to do as a cop. Ooh, that bristled me up, right? And
Yeah.
I was like, well, they're not going to tell me. So they said, well, that's why we sell it. We sell it for 30 days. Well, what I realized was the more I was in intelligence, the more tech platforms we had. So we had some very advanced, everything with drones, facial recognition, thermal imaging cameras, you name it. We were very cutting edge. The public has to be comfortable with it.
Yeah.
They decide the type of law enforcement they're going to live with. Ultimately, they do.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, we are the experts. We know what will be the most effective. So, law enforcement has one end of it, the public has the other. When you can find that meeting point in the middle,
The middle ground.
that's perfect. So 30 days I thought was too far, but it turned out I think we identified like 1% or 2% of cases that probably would have needed more. That's not worth exchanging public trust and confidence in us.
Absolutely.
People would say, well, there's that extreme case. Sorry. It's more important that the public have confidence in us that we're doing things in a way that respects their privacy rights and their intentions of letting us have those things.
Yep.
They fund it.
And law enforcement's been that way. And this is one of the arguments I made. We would talk about Rodney King earlier. That's when you got in. There was a drive and a need after Rodney King. The first thing that happened was what? Video cameras in cars.
Yep.
And that was a public want and need. And we made it happen. Sure, there's always resistance to change.
Turns out it wasn't such a bad thing at all.
Turns out it was great.
Yeah.
And then let's fast forward. There was a need for intermediate devices such as tasers. I mean, tasers have been around probably since I think late 70s, early 80s. They were testing them out. They weren't where they needed to be, but
not what we ultimately ended up.
But what we ended up with, the realistic version, started happening in the mid 90s, and then pepper spray came around. It stopped being flammable and all that stuff. So.
All those technologies all had rough starts.
Yeah, they all had rough starts. But the point is they were driven by public want and need, and that's where they came in. And then I think the same thing goes with these cameras. Now, one of the problems that anybody's going to have when they start talking about city surveillance is Big Brother watching around the corner. And I'm with them. I'm a military guy. I swore an oath to the Constitution twice, technically. With the police and with the military. So I'm with them. Like, I don't want you looking in my backyard, and me as a person, I don't want you looking any place that you shouldn't be looking. But if you're looking on a public street, looking at a business on a public corner or whatever it is, I'm okay with that. And as long as police aren't overstepping that, has nothing to do with Flock, but their technology, I think, is so good and far ahead of the curve that will never need to be a thing.
No.
If that makes sense.
No, it was a big thing with me. And everybody that I talked to at the very beginning thought, 30 days, that's not long enough. I said, okay, 30 days doesn't get people worried.
Right.
When everything's gone in 30 days.
As a detective, though, you've got, let's say it even like the biggest departments in the nation, LAPD in New York, 35,000 cops at New York. Let's say them. I think you got 10 days to get to your case, to touch it.
Yeah.
So if you haven't touched your case that happened 10 days ago, we've got issues.
Well, and I ran into a couple of agencies that had really long touches on the cases. And so I asked them, and they were saying, we often won't touch that case for that long. Okay, what are you touching? What are you getting involved with on active caseloads then?
Yeah.
When I found out what makes a case active for them, really the active case is really heavy on the front end. The older cases were very small. how they treated active and inactive cases were very different than other agencies.
Right.
That's why it accounted for some cases that would not be touched for 60 or 90 days. Sounds a long time under any circumstances. But an important stuff, it's going to be in the front of the line.
Yeah.
When it's important,
Right.
this is handy. It's right there, and you'll have it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying because we're integrated with evidence.com through Axon partnership, if it's important, you can save it in the evidence of the case right away. And that happens a lot now on the day of the case.
Yeah.
The case number is generated. Officers start putting stuff into that evidence file right then.
Yeah. So for those listening,
what was that like 10 years ago?
if you're wondering what Axon is, because it's not as a common phrase as saying taser.
Yeah.
And taser is Axon.
I guess I'm too used to it.
Yeah, people are so used to, like, when you talk about the word taser is, now it's a verb, it's a noun, it's a everything, but Taser is a company, and Taser is the one that basically got law enforcement into what you call a taser, and they created the body camera. And I'm not saying they created the body camera, but they created a body camera and an evidence system. So
they've created more than that. Let me get in on that a little bit. On
Okay.
their integrations, because I'm digging what they're doing.
let me sit back, sir, and sip some more of this grass-fed whiskey.
Axon, which is they're the company that gave us all the taser. Axon is a complex or a comprehensive company, and just in the last 12 months or so, just so you know, I don't work for Axon, so I'm not going to have all this exactly accurate, but Axon created a large suite of highly integrated functions. Everything from your dispatch, jail management, records management, evidence, in-car patrol videos, in-car license plate recognition. Okay, so they're doing the mobile part. Even managing all the drone operations.
They're doing a report writing system, correct?
Yes.
I knew that was in a beta stage.
No. This is live now.
Oh, is it?
In some places, and it's being sold. Grand Prairie just bought all of their integrations.
Really?
And let me tell you what that's going to do. Flock and Axon are partners.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Not everyone knows that. Flock and Axon are partners, and this is
Okay.
very powerful. We have fixed assets for license plate recognition systems, and we have more stuff on the way that I'll just tease in that way. Okay.
Okay.
Axon has evidence.com. With just a couple of clicks, what goes through Flock goes straight into evidence.com. In a lot of larger departments, that goes straight to your DA.
Oh my God.
This is a detective stream.
Yeah. That's why I'm acting all cream filled over here.
So,
yeah, I said it.
the
Don't give a shit. I said what I said.
So Axon is the perfect partner for Flock. Both ways, really.
Well, now that you're saying it, like so people listen, my brain's firing on like the possibilities.
Is your agency, without naming them, are they an Axon partner or not?
Oh my God, everything.
Okay.
Our cars, our body
Yes,
cameras,
all of that.
our tasers.
This is married to it now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and there's something that Axon has. It's called Fleet 3. Which
Yes.
is, okay, Fleet 3
Which we have.
incorporates ALPR in the car.
Yes.
I had it in my Tahoe the month before I left my police department.
So
Very early.
I'm just guessing. Okay, you guys know I'm a tech idiot. This is me guessing. If I've got this Axon, what'd you call it, Fleet 3?
Yes.
If I have Fleet 3 and it works through these guys, what you're telling me is if a patrol car is going down the street and his Fleet 3 happens to see a wanted felon for a stolen vehicle on his camera, that camera's going to pick it up and it's going to hit on my hot list.
Correct. Okay, now hang on.
Dude.
Okay, hang on. Let me check the hot list thing for you first to see if your hot lists are integrated. Remember, this is a system that's building out constantly.
Right.
But the two now, this is the search interface.
Uh-huh.
So ALPR in the car, and I'll tell you what, as far as a mobile ALPR, I have never seen anything that comes even close to Axon's performance in license plate recognition in the car. I would drive down the highway at reasonable speeds.
Wink, wink. Stomp, stomp.
That, I mean, I would drive, a lot of times I would drive through the large President Bush totally arc that went through Las Colinas and Irving. This is not a smooth road. Okay, this is, if you do more than 90 on that, you are risking your life, right?
Okay.
It's bumpy. But doing 70, 75 miles an hour on that and having an ALPR camera coming out of the front of your car and it getting hits off of plates that were clear beyond anything I ever imagined from 75 and 150 feet away across all kinds of lanes. It was amazing. Drive through a Walmart parking lot. It's always the example, but it's always a good one.
Yeah.
Drive through there. The camera grabbed every plate on both sides. And them all. You know what that ends up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can still tilt it if you want to. If you want to just look down to one side there, you can still tilt it.
Oh my God.
So Axon's doing some amazing stuff. Their integrations are incredible. Imagine a system where your flock alert, your ALPR mobile alerts, your reporting systems, your dispatch systems, your evidence systems, your drone systems, everything is in one place.
Oh my God. Okay. So I'm glad you mentioned this because here is I'm trying to look at the other side of the coin. Citizens listening to this that aren't in law enforcement. This is the things that I think of. Are you listening to the people that do the job? I don't care what position you're in. If you work for AT&T, are you listening to your customers? Like, do you listen to what they want? Disney, are you listening to your Star Wars fans? I think they do. Are you listening to the people that are invested in what you're doing? Axon, I can tell you wholeheartedly does because I've been with Axon I've been with Axon. I don't get paid by them, trust me. Just department wise. Even my department up in Michigan, we had Axon tasers. I've got Axon body cam, Axon taser, Axon camera in my car. I got Axon everything. And I can tell you that if I send an email to Axon, one, I get a reply within the day. Within 24 hours, I get a reply from Axon. Okay. I'm glad you told us what you told us. That'll work. We're going to send it to our, whoever. And not only do they send it to them, the person they send it to, I get CC'd in and they show me that they're still doing that. Now, personally, I just really started talking to Flock. I've been with Flock as a person that works with it for over a year, but I've only recently started talking to y'all because of this podcast and telling them like, I fucking love you guys. Like I would easily brag about you. Like I would love to get that out there. One of the things I was worried about was, am I going to get sued? Like, I don't know how that works. Like, I'm just a cop. I'm just trying to learn this stuff. So I was nervous about that. So that's one of the reasons I reached out. Well, when I reached out to Flock, they contacted me almost instantly. And that was what I liked. So they listened to me and I said, all right, this is what I want to do. I got a podcast going on and, I want to brag about you guys because I truly like what you guys got going on. And not only that, I would, if you guys want to get on board, cool. If not, I just want to know that I can talk about you. So that's what I was worried about. They want to get sued. So they were like, no, do it. And so I said, I also got some ideas. I
was that guy too.
I got some.
Became their employee. I was that guy.
I got some issues. I use you guys all the time, but I want to make you better. I want you to fit my mold. And here's, is that cool? And they said, hold that thought. Here's who you need to talk to. And they did it instantly. I mean, just told me who I need to get in contact with. So when you talk about Axon, when you talk about Flock, certain things I look at, do you think your shit don't stink and you're just going to do it the way you want to do it? Or are you going to listen to the people to do the job? And any of my cops out there listening know that that's what we look for. Are you going to listen to us? And I am telling you wholeheartedly, that's why I keep harping about this damn company is because they listen to me. And not many people do. Not many people listen to us. You know what I mean? So that's why I keep harping on it. And it's so stupid because I know how annoying that can be.
Well, and when a company quits innovating, it's because either they can't or they've decided not to.
Right.
It's one of the two.
Yeah.
Either one. It's not helping you any at all.
And they're just starting. So they're eager.
Oh, and short of probably a hot death, I can't bring bring up all the things that are coming.
Right.
More's
Oh.
coming.
Should we bring up the one? Can we bring up? I don't know what we can bring up. The other product. I mean, it's a cool product. I just thought it would be a good. You brought it to show me, so I thought it'd be a good time to bring it
I
up.
know they've got an announcement on the 19th.
Oh,
Okay.
can I like show what it looks like? You tell me.
They shipped it to me, but
Why would they give it to you if they didn't want you to show
I
it?
know.
And technically, this won't show until after the 19th.
Oh, okay, then good.
Yeah, this won't
Okay,
show
yeah,
because
okay.
I have an
I didn't know
episode that releases on the 14th.
Then we're good.
Yeah, we're good. Wait, today's the 10th, so Sunday. What's this Thursday?
Oh, God.
Today's the 10th. So this Thursday, Sunday. So that's the 14th, correct?
This Wednesday is the 13th.
And then Thursday's the 14th,
14th.
correct? Yeah, I have a different episode that releases on the 14th, and then this will release the Thursday after that.
Okay, we're good.
We're good. We can talk about
Yes,
it.
we
Fuck
can.
yeah.
All right.
Bring this
Okay,
bitch in.
this is Raven.
It's called what?
Raven.
Okay, so this
Okay,
is
all of
Raven.
our products are named after birds. Okay,
Okay.
this is Raven. Okay, it's tiny, size of a coffee cup, super lightweight, solar cell on top for energy. Hey, we're even green, even when we're tactical black. Right. So that is Raven. Raven is gunshot detection.
Okay.
We've all heard of that, and typically under one company name because there's one dominant company in the space.
I can tell you that I heard about gunshot tracking through the military.
Yep. And I'm familiar with their sources at the company that they use or the design that they use too.
It's mostly for snipers.
Correct.
Yes.
And it's tuned in a certain way. It's not a general purpose kind of thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's not looking for all kinds of stuff. Our system is going to set up for anomalous things, gunshot detections.
Okay.
Breaking glass, crashes, burnouts. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, things like that. So,
Okay. So it's not just gunshots that we're
because
talking about.
we let our devices learn. As they learn,
Okay.
they get smarter and smarter.
Yeah.
No, they're not going to take over the world and do bad things. That's not it. Okay. It's not that kind of learning. So,
CI 800.
yeah. So in that little canister, we marry it up to this lovely device, our Falcon camera.
I can tell you this is lighter than my glass.
It's missing a couple of components in there, but I'm telling you, it's going to be lighter than your glass after
Okay.
with fully loaded.
You have the same glass, just so you know. Just yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, it wouldn't be heavier than that.
Okay.
Remember, it doesn't take a lot to run that kind of thing. There's no
Right.
mechanical portions in there, and there's not the solar cell on top is enough to consistently feed all that it needs to do on a reliable basis. So
Okay.
this
Even in a winter state like Michigan.
we've started. We have tackled the winter problem now.
Okay.
Yes. After last year, we learned it.
I was just curious.
All companies are going to have points where they're going to have a misstep or not see something coming.
Yeah.
We weren't the only ones that didn't see last year coming. In other areas, not just this one, but other areas of the country had truly severe weather patterns that were shocking. So now we have two different levels of packages that keep these things going no matter what.
Okay.
So this one talks to this. So when this is within 1,000 feet of this
That activates.
talks to this and notifies.
Oh.
Yes.
Does it target?
Correct. If you have you have to have the right mix of these
That's
there
awesome.
and these. Okay, this is how gunshot detection works.
Okay.
You have to have an array of antennas that
Okay.
can pinpoint the location. Now, when I say pinpoint, I'm not going to say it's going to be on literally a square foot.
Right.
So what you're trying to do is get people into the correct parking lot, or you're trying to get them into the correct business area,
Yeah.
or the correct house on the block. Okay, you're not any system that says, "Oh, we're going to put you on the right room."
And we're talking about one shot.
Correct.
The more shots you get,
Correct.
yes. And that's just
And
from
the
me.
closer it is to the device,
Yeah,
the
that's
more
me
accurate.
knowing the military sniper tracking is like if you get a sniper that lets off 2 or 3 rounds, he's done, like absolutely done. So when you talking about a major metropolitan city with all the noises that it already has going off,
Correct.
if you get a drive-by with multiple shots, you're golden. I'm assuming that that's how it works.
How many license plate recognition companies out there will offer you gunshot detection.
And none.
Zero.
None.
None of
This is
them
the
have
first I've ever heard of
it.
it.
No, it's a good measure.
Yeah.
Part of our big mission, and it's part of the reason why I'm there, is we fight crime with you.
Yeah.
Right? We know that violent gun crime is one of the most hottest problems in the United States right now. The numbers and the percent changes are incredible. And we haven't seen it in a long, long time. And we were headed in the right direction for quite a long time. Now we're running in the other direction. You can't fight gunshot detection, or you can't fight gunshot or gunfire or gun violence by putting a cop on every corner. You can't do it. It wouldn't even be helpful. And
Right.
there's no money for that. What do we do best? We, as a company, create devices and systems and a whole ecosystem around doing what they do best, so humans and police officers do what they do best. So this tells the officers, this is where you need to go. The Falcon cameras now, we will design a layout for the deployment of the cameras so that the cameras in the areas of a gunshot detection device will work on the outbounds, because nobody sticks around after they've been running a drive-by or something, right?
Right.
So now we custom design, and that's part of what I do, is I design the layout, the deployment of the mapping out of all these devices so that they all complement one another. We don't just put it on a pole over an intersection.
Yeah.
There's a lot of thought behind what we do and why we do it.
Yeah.
Now we've added a layer of gunshot detection. This means that when you get the gunfire call, officers go, there's shell casings on the ground, right? And there's some value to that if you have NIBIN and stuff like that, but still, you may not even have a victim that you're aware of.
Right. And you're talking months.
Correct.
Because NIBIN, for anybody,
NIBIN's backlog.
yeah, basically what anybody's, if you've never heard of NIBIN is your way of basically doing your digital forensics against your shell casings to try to find out if there's any guns that have ever been captured before, figure out where that gun came from, or later on,
Cataloging for future use.
yeah, cataloging for future use. Basically, somebody uses a gun that you do capture on scene, and you find out later that, well, that gun's been used in this shooting, that shooting. So
now when you have the casings on the ground, your officers got there in time, hopefully, to do something, even if they don't, because it's talking to the cameras. The system's smart.
Yeah.
The cameras are getting all the outbounds, because what do you need? You need a lead.
Yes.
Somebody does a drive-by on an apartment or a house. Nobody gets shot. Do you think it's the first time and the last time they're going to have that happen?
No.
No, that guy's going to do it again. Okay. I was at a house that there were 153 rounds expended at it. Nobody got shot. There were people inside the house. Yeah. All their luck is run out, probably.
Yeah.
There have been, I think, 6 associated shootings now with that same group of people. Right? If we had LPR in the area, we got that person.
Yeah.
And with the gun. How many guns used on the street in violence, in your experience, are accompanied with a convicted felon?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a serious, serious problem.
Yeah.
People do time behind that.
Yeah.
That violent felon is getting locked up, period. They're going to have to take a plea deal. They get caught with a gun. That's it.
Yeah.
There's very few avenues for escaping that crime.
Right.
When you get caught in the car leaving the scene and your shell casings are now back there,
Yep.
because the gunshot got the cops there, and then they got the plate later. Everybody hot lists the plate real quick, and all of a sudden that plate gets hit on all the cameras in town. Car gets stopped over, the guy still in the car, so is the gun. This is how that process works with Flock. Systems working together.
I'm glad you brought this up. I got 2 points I want to make. Let me write this down so I don't forget the second point, because I'm stupid and I forget things. When I first became a detective, very first, I had a shooting. My very first shooting as a detective, I had a camera, a Ring camera that picked up the shooting. Now it's at nighttime. All you see is muzzle flashes. I don't see a vehicle. I don't see anything. Through my experience, whatever, I realized there's 3 different guns. I see what I know for sure to be an AR. The second one I'm not sure of, but I thought it was an AK. And then At the very last second, I hear pop, what I know to be a pistol. I couldn't tell you what type of pistol, but I knew like that was weird. You know, and I had watched the video, like, you know, it's your first shooting. You're trying to work that case. So I'm into it. I'm full into it. They shot up an elderly person's home. Now, they were like a pillar of the community. Like, they'd been there, like their mom's mom built that house. So we're talking about a home that I've got no gang ties. I've got no nothing. So there's no reason for this house to have been hit by anything. So I'm like, this is weird. So I go out. All I had listed in my case was 5.56 rounds. So I go back out there, and it's fall time, so there's leaves everywhere. So I start searching, and I end up finding my AK rounds. So I find out there's, you know, some 7.62s, shell casings, and then believe it or not, I found my 9mm round. That one pop, I found it. So now I know I got a pistol and AK and an AR-15. And I start scoping the area, like for video cameras and stuff, and I don't find anything. Well, let's fast forward a year. That case went nowhere. I didn't have anybody from the house that had any gang ties or anything that would have caused them to be shot at that I could find. Nobody even had a criminal record. No one. Not the sisters, because there was 2 sisters and a husband, and none of them had they're elderly. And so I told them, I was like, look, I'm trying for you folks. I like, this is it's a big deal to me, because to me, you're a real victim. Like, nobody, there's no reason your
they
house
living that life that brings us on.
Right.
Yeah.
So now I've got the traditional 4-way avenue. I know the direction of travel this car came in at. I don't know where they left. I know they kept going either the direction they came in at, but I don't know if they went north, south, east, west from there. So I find some school cameras. I find some Ring doorbells, but I can't figure out where they went. Not even 6 months later, we get some flock cameras in that same area, and my solve rate just skyrockets. Right? I'm getting all this stuff. Then it happens. I get a shooting in that area. It was the AK rounds. I ended up finding a Nibers hit to my AK rounds, but my Nibers hit also correlates with a flock hit.
Yeah.
And I got a vehicle. Now I've got the same vehicle. I've got a Nibers hit.
Now you've got something.
Now I got something. I couldn't do anything for that original case, which breaks my heart. Nobody got hit, so that was the beauty of it. Yeah. No one was hit. But I was able to go back to that house and tell the 2 elderly ladies, they're in their 60s and 70s, and say, hey, I couldn't find who shot your house, but this is what I was able to figure out. I found the weapon that did it. Now, I can't guarantee that it's the same person that we found the weapon with, but that gun's off the streets now. I just wanted you to know that. That's all I can give you. And their level of appreciation it's that satisfaction to the job. And it's not that Flock helped me solve a case. It's that it helped me give somebody else peace of mind later on, after the fact, even though it was 6 months later.
Yeah.
Now, if I would have had them there at that time, and that is my drive now. That one case, my first shooting case as a detective, is my drive towards getting this to every department.
There was a recent shooting that was very widely covered by the press. Involved with school.
Oh.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. The
my God.
vehicle description, they knew the suspect.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everybody knew him. And they knew kind of what kind of car he drove.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a Dodge. I was looking for it.
Yeah.
Well, I was out.
It went through a camera at Grand Prairie.
No.
Yes. Now,
it's an active case, folks, so we're being delicate.
Yeah, so anyway, but it went through one of those cameras.
No shit.
Yeah, and they recovered the car.
Oh, now, my God.
Other there were other avenues that the case took apparently, and I don't know everything because I'm not involved with it. I'm just kind of getting little tidbits and stuff because people, and that's the cool part. Law enforcement partners call, and they don't give me all the information because they can't.
Right.
But they like to tell me, "Hey,
Your shit
you
worked.
got another win."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
Yep. Immediately after the shooting, the car
That's
went to this
huge.
area, went through the camera. Now that documented where that car was. There was the plate, and all the registrations, everything came back and matched. That's important. And then you work from there, right? I'll tell you another one where everything worked in one afternoon. 3 cases, all in a matter of like 2 or 3 hours. Where I used to work, the U.S. Marshals Group works in the building too. Like most of the ones from North Texas work there. So they don't have flock cameras. We do. So they'll ask us for information and such.
Yeah.
Well, we hot listed a car for a capital murder suspect for them. And we also had just in the same close time frame hot listed another car for a totally unrelated capital murder.
Hold your thought, because I want to explain something which, if you're wondering why they're called flock, this is exactly why. Because it's the flock concept.
Do it
Together. Like, that's the whole point, is your agency, let's say you come from a cheaper, poorer, whatever it is, don't have the money agency, but your next door neighbors do, and they have them. We're in the business of catching criminals, folks. We want to catch them. It doesn't matter how it's done. So you get your next door agency asking you, hey, we know you got flock cameras. Here is one of our biggest crimes. It's a murder. It's a homicide. It's a capital offense. We don't have the money or the equipment to catch him, but we know he may go through your area. Here's the info. Can you help us? Sure. We'll enter it in. It's not a big deal. It takes 10 seconds.
This process happens all the time now.
It's not that long. Yeah, it doesn't take that much. And then that's the point. Once you get, let's say, once you see the fruits of that labor and we help catch your capital murder person, now you go to your city council, you go to your citizens. Hey, look, we didn't have this equipment, but our next door neighbors did. This person was a problem for us and they helped catch it using this equipment. Let's get it. They get it. Now you can help the agencies next to you. So that's the flock concept, in my opinion. That I don't know if that's
that's a very big part of our system.
Yes.
Is that by more people becoming part of the flock, okay, the power becomes magnified more and more and more. The regionalization I talked about with earlier, if you look across the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
If you are somebody that does a crime in far northeast Dallas and you decide, well, okay, I got to get out of there, there's not going to be a safe haven for you.
Right.
Okay. And now, getting even further, we're building all over Texas. All the major urban environments we're moving into or are already there.
Yeah.
Areas like Phoenix and the West Coast, we're over 1,000 agencies. And we're just beginning, and we can't even get to enough of them.
That's awesome.
Okay.
That's a good problem to have.
Well, it's a fantastic feeling to have.
Yeah.
Because I know I love going to, I just flew a long way to the other side of the country to meet with an agency that would be the only agency in their area that has any of the technology like this.
Oh my God.
We love those.
Yeah.
Because we make them successful. Do we have a sales motive in this? Absolutely. We're in business to make money. But a huge part of us is dedicated to the partnership we have with law enforcement and what it does.
Yeah.
It makes people safer. So when we go into that one agency, I told them, I said, you're about to experience something that's going to change what you do and how you view the value of what you do. It's about to change because they're going to buy a significant number of the cameras. And they have a crime rate that I was shocked at I wouldn't say they were remote, but they're kind of a standalone. There's not like a big major metropolitan city right next to them or anything. And they've got a serious gang problem. They've got a lot of shootings. A lot of violence. The cool part is they also have good data. So when I go to an agency, I've read all of their data. I know how to map it. I look at it. So I know a lot about them before I ever talk to them.
Setting the camera up is not really going to be that hard because you
No.
already know.
Well, a lot of times I'll set up a preliminary map, and when I go to talk to them, they're like, "Yeah, man, that's what we need."
Yeah.
And then it's just little tweaking things, just fine tuning it.
Yeah.
Their data will tell me where their problems are, especially the type of problems that we do best at.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a person that wanders around on foot, we're not your people. You can't even search for a person on Flock, and there's reasons why. Because that's that part that we think is too invasive. Society doesn't want that. We find people that are in vehicles because that's the mode of transportation for most of our people that are involved with these crimes.
Right.
So,
That's the difference between that and the European approach.
yes, the European approach is a blanket of all services, all kinds, all the time.
Yeah.
Facial recognition is a big thing. And there's still, literally, I run into people the agencies and communities that think that we capture people's faces and analyze them for that identification. We do nothing of the kind. In fact, we do a lot of things to not have that happen. Our system is designed to go to the back of the car. There's two reasons. First, there's a privacy interest that's automatically triggered by using the back of the car where we are not likely to identify people or capture their image.
I never knew that about Flock. It's funny you say that because every Flock hit I've ever seen, now that you mention that, is always the rear of the vehicle.
The second part of that is a natural that all states require a rear license plate, not all in the front.
Right.
But beyond that, we help add to the reliance upon the public that we are not out there capturing images of people's faces.
That's good information to pass on.
We do. And people worry that we're a facial recognition company because another competitor out there brags that their brand new in-car camera even does facial recognition.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly the stuff that's spooky and scary to people.
Right.
It's not what we're about. We have a saying: we collect objective evidence, and we give you objective information immediately. It's true.
Yeah.
This box can't make a decision on its own. It can't. It only knows if this happens and this happens.
And so I don't know how far my word goes with my audience, but I can say with 100% guarantee, I've never seen a Flock hit that I've used personally on an investigation that shows a person in the vehicle because it's coming from the rear. It's not that it's impossible.
It's not impossible, but it's highly improbable.
Yes, on everything that I've investigated,
Yeah.
I've never even seen a person in the video, and that's just based on the way that on vehicle looks. Now, if it's set up on a store or whatever it is,
There's
pedestrian traffic and stuff like that. But the point is to capture cars.
The other thing is you can't search for a person in our system.
No, not at all.
There's no human searches. You
It's
can
all
only search for vehicles.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're absolutely right.
So that's where we're centered.
Yes.
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that because I was just like, all I look for is vehicles anyway.
Correct.
So
All we're interested in.
that makes
Now,
sense.
It's one thing. In LPR, that's all you should be interested in. LPR is meant for that. In other platforms, like my city, we had surveillance systems. Okay, you build in policy and or capabilities into a system that limit the concerns over long data retention or identifications of persons by facial recognition. So you limit that. This finds the reasonable point of agreement between society and high technology companies and law enforcement altogether. There's three pieces there.
Yeah.
So that it's important because, like I said, the public actually decides how they'll be policed.
Yeah.
So
this is what we need to do, you and me, right now. This is what I just thought about. Flock was created based on what you told me because of a victim's perspective.
correct.
Which happened to be
Our CEO.
a tech guy who knows how to do this shit. So because it was created from a victim's perspective and not a law enforcement perspective, this is the part that we need to make sure, because the majority of my audience is law enforcement, they need to understand that here's where that rabbit hole really dives into. So when you look at Flock, let's go from what you look at the surface, and let's start diving down where you and I, who do this job, understand this to work. So flat out, right away, the first thing that this thing is really good at is you enter a plate, it finds the plate. Yeah. And it tells you where it's going, the direction it's going.
Where it's been, how long
yeah.
it's been.
And it gives you a nice little picture of it.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. So you're like, oh shit, the car that I was looking for, the plate, you may not even know what the car is. You just know the plate. And you enter the plate in and then bam, takes pictures of it all over town, wherever you have these cameras set up. But that's just the surface.
That's it. That's just touching it.
That's just touching it. So explain in your, because I've gone down this hole before, but from your perspective, let's go down all the little branches that this thing does for guys like us.
Let's say you've got somebody that keeps going after the same location. Let's take that for example. So you have a dart rail station or something like that where some cars are left there overnight. They keep getting broken into. You don't know what's breaking into it. And then finally somebody's cell phone camera or whatever captures it. It's a white sedan. That's all you know. You have no plate. In most cases, is the case pretty much dead?
In most cases, yeah.
It's inactive or
yeah.
dead. Not now. Now you take the time frame for the camera near there, or the cameras, and you plug in what we call saved search, and you can plug in white car, just white car. Now, you want to be alerted for all the white cars, but you know that all your burglaries happen after 1 o'clock in the morning and before 5 in the morning. So then you save that search and you alert it, but you make that alert to all the patrol officers. So if a white sedan goes into that parking lot where nobody should really be, it alerts everybody, right? You don't have to have the plate. Now, can you think of another system that's going to alert every cop in town when a specific type of vehicle goes into a parking lot between a certain number of hours?
No.
None.
That's just one.
That's
okay.
one.
That's one.
Now,
we've
now let's see a known plate for a known offender for burglaries of vehicles or catalytic converter thefts, vehicle-based theft. You have his plate. Now you plug that into a hot list and you put it on certain cameras in certain places at certain times. And now you're going to search that way. And you're going to get alerted that way, you and your friends. Okay? Or maybe just you. Maybe you've got a narcotics investigation and you want to know when that car comes back because you know it's coming back from the border. And you have a snitch that tells you, now he goes to California or he goes to the border, wherever he comes back on, this Wednesday night, he'll be back. We've all heard that story. We all know this is not unusual. Even if you didn't have the plate, just plug in for all the blue two-doors that your snitch knows it's a blue two-door car. Okay, plug it in. Your guys are down the street, way ahead, right? They're just dialing in because then they're going to say, okay, yeah, the blue Mustang, it turned right off a Beltline and it's going down Warrior Street. Okay, well, that's headed towards the target location area. Right. Okay, now we're in the game. Did you have an early warning system before?
No.
That was your snitch. They aren't in the car.
Right.
Right. So now you do.
There's 3.
Here's one for the DA's office and all the domestic crimes investigators. Take your cameras around an area where you have a protective order. We already have that built in.
Right. And I want to preface, these cameras aren't fixed permanently. No. They can be moved.
If you have a camera that you have put in the ground and you need it moved to another location, it's going to cost $150 to have a service technician come out there, pull that thing up, refill the hole, go drill another hole with an auger, put a concrete base in it, stick it in the ground, aim it, set it up, $150.
How long does it take him to go do that? If I were to order it today, and this is me putting you on the spot.
Part of that is going to depend on the area you're in, how many service techs are there, what's going on. Okay. I can tell you this, if you called as an agency, said, we have an emergency, we have a victim of a stalking case or something like that, and we need help fast. Do you think we're going to come in there? Yes, we will. I have called my service techs before I've called for help, and I've even emailed when I was at my agency. I found out one time I had a pole that was on the ground. Camera was gone. All right. I didn't know about it because I didn't check my little health meter thing to check all my cameras every day because I don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
Flock did.
Oh, they let you know that it was down?
My tech called me. He said, "Hey, man, your camera's down."
Oh, no shit.
He goes, "I've already come out to find it. It's laid down, but the camera's gone." He goes, "It's just a pole now." He goes, "I'm going to bring you another camera. I'm going to see if I can salvage that pole and use it, or I'll bring you another one just in case. I'll have it done today."
No shit.
I didn't even know it.
So if your camera goes, now is that an insurance coverage or
First camera that's gone, destroyed, or whatever is on us.
No shit.
Yeah, the lowest price I found anywhere else for a competition is $2,500.
I think Ring does that too. If Ring camera gets
really?
taken in an offense, yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
The second time,
That's why I have Ring.
yeah, the second time, it's $500. Each time after that's $500. It costs us more than this for that. Okay,
Yeah,
but we're willing to do it, right? Because we want to be those able partners.
yeah,
So people get worried. Oh, they're going to get shot at, broken out, baseball batted, whatever. Okay, the first one's on us. Second one is not going to kill your budget.
right.
So, because we have clients from populations of 500. We have clients at 500,000 or 1 million or more, right? That client that's got only 500 people in their city,
Yeah,
they only have 2 cameras.
and
Yeah.
and this is me outside looking in as a business model because I'm trying to turn this into a business because I'm just trying to protect myself. But it's really smart to keep it as cheap as you can if it's good.
Let's say
We just listed-
a small town.
We just listed three.
I got another good one.
Three. I know, and I got more myself. So that's what I'm saying. We just listed 3 off the top of the dome.
If
So
you have a city, because part of the reason why people are drawn to the Flock system is we have all the skin in the game, right? So if we don't perform at the end of the contract the next year, you just tell us, come pull your stuff out of the ground. We didn't make you spend $500,000. We didn't make you spend all that.
yeah,
So if we don't perform, you're not going to keep us. The other guys, they capture you and hold you hostage because you spent $500,000 or more
yeah,
on their equipment. You're going to go back to council as that chief and say, yeah, it's really not working out. And I don't want to pay anymore, but I know we spent all that money on it. No. If you're a chief and we aren't keeping you happy, you go to the council and say, you didn't keep us happy. It's not going to cost you a dime.
yeah.
All right.
But where Flock, I think, wins. And again, God, you know what bothers me about us talking about this? I feel like such a fucking fanboy. That's my problem with this. I feel like such a douche because I'm sitting here just bragging and bragging about somebody that sponsors my show. But I'm being legit. Like, the best part about all this is I don't give a shit what the chief thinks about it.
Yeah.
I know as a detective how much it works for me. My last guy that I had on here, we spent probably 10 minutes talking about just him using Flock. He's not a sponsored person. He's not doing any of that because it works for him as a detective.
I've got people that have called me that said, hey, that are users that have told me, hey man, if you ever need anyone that's current law enforcement to talk to another agency, I'll do it. They're not asking for money or anything.
Right.
They believe in it so strongly. And part of the difference is, and I experienced this firsthand, it's not just the product. It kicks ass 7 days a week.
Right.
Rain or shine, it never complains. It always works, and it works incredibly well. But the other thing is, we take care of our people.
Yeah. That's my big thing is the customer service.
This is what I tell people inside of Flock. Our relationship with our customers is what will always keep them our customers.
Yes.
If let's say this has a problem, okay, let's say this camera or this one, who knows what, it got dropped or something, or he was just got a bad attitude, but it's not working right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And by the way, our cameras are up over 98% of the time.
Yeah.
I watch that stat every week. If this one doesn't do well, okay, if you know that we're going to take care of you on it every time, all right, and do it really fast, you would tolerate a few errors.
Absolutely.
Because we have confidence, trust, and a relationship.
Yep.
That's what's important.
I have, so I reached out to a company Gator Frameworks. I reached out to him. I said, hey, and that's who I got these arms from.
Oh, okay.
I've got Rode mics. I've got I got a Rode system. I got other equipment in here but what I want to get to is the customer service portion. Gator Frameworks, I reached out to him. I said, hey, I got this podcast going on. I'm trying to grow. I heard you guys were really good because I watched JRE, Joe Rogan Experience. So I'm just curious. I'm curious about your product. Joe Rogan seems to know his shit. So I had somebody call me. Hey, I know we're emailing back and forth, but do you have a problem with me calling you? No, go ahead, call me. So they reached out. They called me. All right, cool. So we had a conversation. Hey, listen, your podcast is just starting. You don't have a real audience. They're very real with me, which as an officer, I appreciate that. And they said, but your overall message we believe in. And this is the correlation with Flock. Flock believes in the law enforcement aspect of it. So they said, hey, we can't just give you products. And I don't expect them to give me any products, but I wanted to try out their product. Hey, we're willing to send you one. We'll sell you them, whatever you want to do, but we're willing to, give it 30 days. If you like it, you can keep it. We'll sell it to you, I said, listen, I'm not that guy. I'm not trying to get free products, but yeah, go ahead and send them to me and I'll purchase them, if I like them. So day one, 24, not even 24 hours. I had them set up and I'm like, oh my God, they stay where I want them to stay. Yeah. There's very little work to them. And anybody that has watched the show, if you watched episode 1, you know how far this has come.
Oh, really?
Oh man. Yeah. So, that's what drew me back to Gator Frameworks. I will stick with them as best I can for as long as I can because of the customer service. Now, with that said, I love these boom arms. These are the best boom arms I've ever had. And I will continue to stay with them. Now, I don't get paid by Rode. I really like these mics. They're awesome. I had some other mics before this, and they were decent. But as far as ease of use, these have been the best I've had.
Flock sent me a Rode mic to do stuff with at home.
See, yeah.
And they're great.
They're great.
And they don't cost $2,500.
Yes, and that was the big part. So I really like these. And with Flock, that is the appeal, I think, especially for cops. If I call and I have an idea, I have a problem, I have a question, any of those, I'm not waiting weeks. I'm not waiting a week. I'm not waiting 3 days. I'm getting people that are on their vacation, Maureen, on their vacation saying, hey, this is what's up. Here's this, there's this. If it's Josh, maybe it takes a little longer.
Ooh.
Just messing with you, Josh.
Damn.
I know, right? Love you, Josh. I'm just messing. But I got people contacting me on their vacations. That's how you get customer loyalty.
You got me on a Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I got you because
Yeah, no, it's you.
I'm a hot.
Yeah,
I'm a hot commodity.
Yeah.
But and folks, I didn't expect somebody to roll up in a nice Jag.
Okay, stop it.
I'm just saying. He came in he got Dayton's on his car.
Dayton. Yeah.
Okay, maybe not Dayton's. Where I'm from, Dayton's would be sweet. So, what is that car, by the way?
It's a
what's it called?
mode of transportation that takes me from point A to point B.
I know. What's it called? I know it's a Jag, but what's it?
It's a car. Move on.
It's an awesome car, by the way. It's not a WRX STI by any means, but
just for car reference, that's before this I had a car. Before that I had a really tricked out Rubicon. Before that I had
you were a Jeep guy.
Oh, love
I've had 3 Wranglers.
Love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I built an awesome Rubicon.
Really?
I kept taking it up to the Oklahoma off-road parks until I finally blew out everything. I blew out the front drive shaft, all the ABS, and I only had second and third gear running the last time I was
2 or 4-door?
4.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never had a 4-door. I've always had 2-door Wranglers.
And I was taking my daily driver and doing this with it.
Nice.
I mean, I was the guy that other people YouTube. Hey, here's the guy, the black Rubicon again. He's nuts. And you see me airborne across a levee into something that's
it's fun.
Survivable. Right.
My intentions with the WRX. So I had 2 WRXs, but I'm a Jeep guy. So, my very first vehicle ever was a '89 Wrangler Hawaiian Islander edition.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so-
super cool.
That was my, carbureted straight six. Just a cool Jeep. I had it 50,000 miles when I got it, and it was fun. It's a good ride. But there is a culture of Jeep. If like you don't understand what you're getting into,
Yeah.
it's not a comfortable ride. It's not a quiet ride. It's none of that.
But you're happy though.
But you're happy. It's a lifestyle. So for those that wonder if you should get a Jeep, I highly suggest you go rent one for a week and just see if it's something that's down your alley, because I guarantee for 3/4C it's not.
If you like it, you will learn to love it.
Yes. So I ended up later on, I was stationed in Montana, got my third Wrangler, and basically turned that thing into as Montana as you could get. And it was one of the best, most fun things I'd ever done. Like you were saying, doing all the dumb stuff, crawling up walls that are vertical and whatever. So when I got my WRX, I was like, this is a rally car. That's the purpose of it.
Yes, it is.
And when you start researching WRX, everything you see is very Fast and Furious style. It's lowered. It's got ground effects, and that's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
I wanted raised and to be able to go on and off road. I never got to do it. I never, with the STI. So you had a Rubicon, which is as stacked as it gets when it comes to off road before you start doing your own stuff. Yeah. And
out of the box, it can do a tremendous.
But out of the box, yes, it can handle. In suburbia, dad going off road stuff. So that wasn't always the case for Rubicon, by the way. Rubicon for a while was a very looked down upon version because they
claimed one thing and they did another.
And they cheaped out on it.
Yeah.
But when it started going to the 4-door, because that's why I asked if you had a 4-door. When they started going to 4-door, the Rubicon package really started to up their game, because it would be nothing for you to go get just a regular old XL Wrangler and then put a Skyjacker kit on it afterwards that was 10 times better than anything you'd have got Rubicon. And you just saved yourself $20,000. I mean, legitimately.
Yeah. Well, and even still now, I'd probably buy like a Sahara, because I really didn't need everything that came with the Rubicon for what I was doing.
The only thing I hate about Sahara is that the fender flares are the same color as the paint job.
Yeah, you can change it.
Yeah. You can.
That's the nice thing. Jeep, everything is game.
Everything is game.
Everything is game.
Everything.
I had really awesome lights.
Even the O'Shea handles.
I had the real Warren, like U.S. Warren winches. Awesome tire wheel combination. I stuck with steel wheels, right?
Yeah.
And that's heavier. And I know the rotational, load and all that stuff is higher, but bottom line is I don't care if I crater a $90 steel wheel. I will care a lot if I crater a $350 alloy wheel.
Right.
And since I'm off-road doing mindless, reckless stuff, I mean, literally, people would just shake their heads when I was out there, because the first season I went out there, I was still mall crawler status. I mean, I had some decent tires. I didn't have a winch that worked.
Right.
I didn't have the right lights and stuff.
Did you even have the what do they call it? Where you can control the bead locks. Did you have bead locks on there?
No.
Okay.
Bead locks. Never did bead locks. So I caught so much crap the first season for being a mall crawler. I then completely nonsensically just thought, oh well, I'm gonna have to change that. And so I spent countless thousands of dollars kitting that thing up. It was great.
Yeah.
It was
nice. So I'm sorry. How do we even get down this path? What were we talking about? Oh, the ways to use flock. Okay, let's keep going down that way. So we've got 3 examples.
Okay, let me give you another one that's off angle that can help a lot of people.
Okay.
Stalker and protective violation things. We already have the NCIC protective violation or protective order list. Take it a step further now. Now you have a high threat case, especially the stalker cases or the repeat protective violation offenders. They keep coming back, right? And they're only coming back and they're just saying things. They're calling. They're loose contact. But it's what I call shark bumping. A shark will circle its prey and bump it a few times to identify it, see if it's what they want.
I watched a lot of Shark Week, so I'm tracking.
Yeah. So offenders will do stuff like that. Well, they bring their car. Well, your cameras in the area if you know your offender.
Yeah.
Or even do saved search. We don't know it, but I know it's a black Jeep.
Yeah.
Program that in. Let it alert the officers. The other thing is, it's going to pull evidence for you of violation of a protective order. When that person's car goes in there and does that, it's going to be evidence. Now, can they build a case just to get a warrant on protective violation just on the car? No, probably not. Does it go towards the evidence of the case? It's probably going to be allowed in later.
Yeah.
They do catch them in the area?
Mhm.
Yeah. Are your odds better of catching them in the area if you have a system of little sentries like this all over the town that tells you when your offender came in town?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you put on the notes on the hot list, hey, this guy may be going to this address, what's every cop in town doing?
Yeah.
They're reorganizing themselves real quick.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when he does come into the area, he's done.
Yep.
Now he's caught there, but he got caught 9 more times on camera. All that's going to be evidence.
Yeah. Even if the patrol officers don't actively catch that guy because they're busy tied up on calls, the investigator can go back and say, look, here's the vehicle there.
Well,
Here's the vehicle here.
Think about it, extend it beyond this. You do that, and then you'd say, okay, I have enough to go to a judge and get a warrant for the cell phone records.
Now I got
I'm
my
going to
cell
get all
phone.
those. I'm going to get all those pings.
Yep.
Now we have evidence, and we can get a warrant off that, because you're
Yeah.
going to tell me that your cell phone just happened to be traveling in a car with somebody else going to your.
And most of
ex-wife.
the time, you don't even go that far.
You do.
As a detective, if you're worth your salt, I'm bringing him in. Hey, dude, you need to talk to me. Because if you don't, I'm going to go get a warrant anyway.
Yeah, you can't keep me from getting your cell phone records, and I'll
Right.
guarantee you that it was in your pocket pinging all the way.
Yeah. And I'll lay my cards out right there for him on the
Sure.
phone. Hey, this is what's going to happen.
He can't make that evidence go away.
No. So you can either come talk to me and we can work this out, or you can I'll work the hard way.
The first piece you need in that is that device,
Yeah.
Flock Falcon.
God, dude.
See, we just named about 4 or 5 things.
Right.
How important it is to a stalking victim or a protective order violation victim.
Right. We're not talking about basic shit either.
Ooh, no,
we're not talking
about people in danger.
Yeah, we're talking about actual violent tendencies, anything like that. So, and it goes, like I said, I'm a property crimes guy, so that's the way I tend to lead. And it's not that I wouldn't lead towards violent
Sure.
felons.
It's just not the
and
lane
stuff.
you're in right now.
But it's not the lane I'm in right now. So for me, looking at it, it's the same aspect when it comes to getting people back their property.
You haven't talked about it, but I'm going to talk about it because it's definitely worth talking about. Have you seen the new advanced search?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you talking about where you take a third-party picture?
Part of it. That's 1/3 of the
Yeah,
package.
yeah.
Okay. So with advanced search,
Hold on, before you get in it, talk about regular search.
Yeah, regular
so
search
they
is-
understand.
regular search is based off of, you can do searches by vehicle type, color, orientation. You can even ask for vehicles that have a bumper sticker on the back, which, by the way, you can expand your thought process to when we call vehicle identifiers, bike racks, roof racks, bumper stickers, which are things that you can look for and search for. Think about the car that just left the drive-by, but the neighbors and everybody told you the other team shot the back of that car up with a rifle lots of times. Is it going to be different? Are there going to be anomalies on the backside of that car? Yes. Well, it's not a bumper sticker. Our camera's looking for the anomalies, not just a bumper sticker. It's something different about the back of that vehicle. So it's once again, the indirect, the out of the box use. So you have all these ways of searching for vehicles that aren't even the license plate. You can search by vehicles at a time and a place. Yeah, I want to see all the plates for that time and place right over there. So advanced search was something that just got released, say about a month ago. Yeah, about a month ago. So advanced search allows you to do 3 things. The first is an image search, where you can take a third-party image, which could be from anything.
Ring doorbell.
Yeah.
That's the one I use the most.
Yeah,
I
a
mean,
lot of
as a
it's rings.
detective, is
Yep.
Ring. Yeah.
Or the cell phone vehicle stuff where people take a picture of something.
Flock, you need to get with Ring, by the way. That'd be cool. Just as a detective.
So they have the ability to upload an image and have the system look for it in your 30 days worth of captured images. You're loading it in and saying, find stuff like this. This relies on what you've got in your image database. But if you've got a vehicle that's unique or something, or the back end of a vehicle that shows stuff, your chances are higher that you're going to actually have a vehicle that's going to match up and you're going to get your plate. The system constantly learns more about vehicles. This, you're giving it an image to work with directly, saying, work with this. This is the thing I'm looking for. The second area is convoy search. Convoy search is the classic scenario is the auto theft teams that come up here, especially from Houston, in this area at least. But the auto theft groups come up. They often arrive in a truck that's similar to the ones that they're going to steal, but it's a legit truck, or at least it's got a temp plate on it. They arrive, drop off a couple of guys at the parking lot near a Target, GMC Denali or something like that. It usually is. They steal it. They leave. Well, we don't hear about that for an hour, 2 hours, 6 hours because somebody's in the mall or a movie theater. Well, we can track the stolen plate. We have that. We find it in the cameras. And then we ask the system, hey, show us every plate that is at the same locations of cameras within the same minute as the first one, the known plate, that appears on 2 or more cameras. The same minute for each camera on this date and time. You get your team vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what your stolen vehicle is. Big deal. All right.
Right.
You hot list that.
But knowing them run them as a team.
Now you get the other plate. You hot list that immediately.
Yeah.
Because they may not be done with the day. So it's convoy search. And you can, once again, take that and use it in all kinds of other ways. You have your gang shooting where you have 3 carloads of people come over. You find out one of them, or you think you do. You ask for how many other plates are with that one in close proximity in time.
Yeah. And I can tell you, I am personally, as a person that's still working out in the field with Flock, I've got not issues, but things I want to see happen that I can do later on down the line that I know they're capable of. It's just they haven't developed it yet. It's not that they're not going to. They're trying. Like you said, they can't keep. They're so popular now that they're in the best part that you can be in a business. They can't keep up.
Yeah,
and that's great. I love hearing that versus like,
they're not innovating.
Yeah, they're not innovating.
We innovate.
They're listening, and they're listening to me because I'll make it known. I'm a double-edged sword with them, and I understand that already. I'm like, hey, this is what I want to see. This is what y'all need to do. Here's where I'm excelling. This is where I'm failing, and this is why. And I never have gotten the response like, we're not going to do that. It's, hey, that's already down the pipe. We're working on that, or we didn't know. This is my favorite part. We didn't know that. Nobody said that to us yet.
Or tell us your spin on that.
Yeah.
What's the version? Because we're doing it this way.
Yeah.
You bring a new twist on it.
Yeah. You tell them something, and it just the admission of like, hey, I didn't think about that, or we didn't know that yet.
Good example. I'm trying to have them work on a certain type of parsing of information that will give more information to the officers. And literally they're working on it. And it's just a matter of who's got what.
Yeah.
I think we have 90 engineers.
Yeah.
90.
Yeah.
And we're still scrambling.
Right.
Because the rate that people want our stuff
of expansion
and the expansion of different platforms and the production is crazy.
I'm excited for the mobile aspect of it because I operate primarily outside of a patrol vehicle.
You're talking about like the app experience?
The app experience. So I am looking forward to the app experience expanding and being able to do everything that I can do on a desktop.
Sure. And the thing is, I haven't talked to them in depth about the app experience over in development, but there's no reason not to just go ahead and build it out. I think it's just a matter of how many developer engineers do you have? How much time do you have in a week? And what have we got on the front burners? Because I know there's some things on the front burners I can't talk about.
Right. If I could like me being outside looking in, because I don't work for Flock by any means. I'm basically a subcontractor in a way for 2 months. If I could sit back and tell Flock to focus their energy anywhere, it would be on the mobile app, because as a patrol officer, as a detective, as a field corporal, or anybody that's out there, I can't jump on my MDC, my computer, all the time. It's nice. It's a great tool to have. But the one thing I have on me everywhere I go instantly is that damn phone. If you give me an app that I can do the same job, oh my God.
I think some of the stuff, it's, how things update firmware, and remember, programming for different platforms, Android versus iOS and stuff, and the
Right.
process, it's complicated.
Right.
I didn't realize how many hoops there are to run through to get there, but I'm certain that there's plans there.
Yeah.
But it's
No, I'm not even worried about it.
People want this little piece of heaven that
Yeah.
it's making this constantly evolve too
Mm-hmm.
is important.
Yeah.
So it's more a matter of
I'm
just
not,
how many
like
things.
I said, I wouldn't be worried about it. And I'm not worried about it because they listen.
No,
That's
there's
what I like.
innovation all over the place there.
Yeah. So,
The one thing we didn't get to, the third part of the advanced search thing, was the multi-geo.
yeah.
This is important because it's a huge time saver in investigation. Multi-geo is like you have a convenience store robbed at 10 p.m. on the 1st. You have another one on the 3rd at 11 p.m. You have another one on the 3rd at 12:45 a.m. And you have another one 2 days later, 9 p.m. You seem to think that as a detective, this might be related to one another. So, ordinarily, you would have to go back to the cameras individually and try and figure out who is showing up there. And that's a lot of time. Looking through just the LPR records or video camera records and all that, trying to put together what is the common car that's coming and going from this. Because especially if they're geospatially located across the city or across a corridor of the city, they're not going to be on foot. In all likelihood, they'll be on a car. So if that's the case, now the geospatial or the GeoSearch actually will allow you to look at the cars that are in each of those places during the times that they should be based on the offense reporting, and ask the system, please show me all the plates that cross these things and have the common times in place. So it's a common time, common place thing.
Inevitably on that, you're going to narrow it down to 2
Yeah, you're going to
at best.
Yeah. And now it all relies on that you've got the right camera in the right place and stuff like that. All that's part of the variable we can't control,
Right.
Ultimately. But if you've got enough cameras around, even if you find the same car hitting on the camera over here, and then at the end of it, okay, so they went around north and came through there, but that happened 3 times. Okay, now you have
your
a
correlation.
lead.
Yeah.
So it's about taking what's a 40-hour job and turning it into a 4-hour job.
Yeah.
So
I get you. Well, brother, we are at 3 hours and 14 minutes. I don't say we have to close it up, but
goodness.
what I want to know, how's retirement going for you?
Retirement actually lasted 6 entire days.
Okay.
I retired on June 1st. I went back to work on June 7th.
Not bad.
No.
How you liking it?
I love this.
Yeah.
I'm not retired at all. And there's a difference. And like I said, after 28 years, I didn't leave to go be retired.
Yeah.
And I didn't leave to go to a retirement gig.
Okay.
We all know what that is, right? Those are some stuff that you don't have a lot of responsibility. There's not a lot of chaos to, and energy and pacing and a lot of work and hustle to. That's not me.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't sit still well at all.
Okay.
If I don't have something to do, I'm just going to get in trouble. So the retirement life, I have no idea what that's like.
Okay. That's awesome.
No, I'm not retired at all.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, brother, I'm glad you came out here. One of the big things I just want to push is, and I hope my authenticity and me being genuine and you being genuine comes across. And I can't change everybody's mind. I know that. But the authentic part of me is trying to push that even if Flock was not a sponsor, and you guys have heard me talk about them even before they ever were even on the radar, I've talked about it on the show, it will single-handedly change the way crime is fought in your city.
It will.
And,
I see it over and over again.
And
It's not my own.
I'm trying. Because I'm looking outside, looking in, like I'm looking at myself, going, "Shut up, shut the fuck up!" Like, dude, we get it. Okay, you like this system, it's cool. No, you don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to push this as hard as I am. This is my first sponsor, HRH Combat. I love these guys, great guys. I'm not talking about these guys the same way. I love them. They're great.
Because the thing is, It takes care of you. You know how many times this increases officer safety?
Oh my God. I didn't even think about talking about that.
No, we haven't even touched
Yeah.
that. That's a
Right.
whole nother show.
That's
All
a
the
whole nother
different-
show. Yes.
And I'm working on a project right now to even enhance that more.
Right.
But the other thing is, it takes care of you, takes care of your department and city's goals.
Yeah.
It takes care of community. There's no gap in anything. And our goal is to work with you,
Yeah.
not to sell you something. And our whole model is built around the fact that if we don't perform, you won't keep us, and we wouldn't have earned it.
Right.
We don't earn it, ditch us.
Yeah.
We do pilots now. Well, we'll come into a city at our own cost and drop 20, 30, 40, 50 cameras on the ground, all on us. You know
Yeah.
why? We know how that's going to end up.
Right.
We're that confident.
Yeah.
And we're that confident that they're going to love us enough just on how they get treated alone.
Yeah.
Where they're going to sign up the next year. We know that because of how we take care of our business.
Yeah. When I did my, okay, so we were talking about task force stuff, and I'm going to wrap this up. I promise. We're going to stay under 3 minutes or 3 hours, 30 minutes. When I did the task force thing for the catalytic converter theft and all that stuff, one of the ways that I started using Flock was I said, hey, where do you have a camera set up on the south side? Oh, we got cameras here, 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 here. Okay, cool. So, and I'm working in combination with my real-time crime center. Not every department has that luxury, and I understand that. But
Alton, Webb.
yeah, but I have it. So I contact those guys and I say, hey, I'm doing a buy bust in this area. I need to set up a location. I want real-time eyes on this when it's going down. And so I find out that I've got a Flock camera in the Walgreens area of this place that I'm going to, and say, okay, this is where I'm going to set up my deal. Get in contact with my guy, set up the deal in a Walgreens parking lot because I know that's going to make him comfortable.
Yeah.
Because it's in a public area. Perfect. Not only do I do that, Flock, you wanted to talk about safety. Flock is like, hey, your vehicle's already in the area. They already knew before I knew. Okay, cool. Where are they coming in? They're coming in from the south. They're southbound. They're coming into you. There's 2 occupants, blah, 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 blah. We're watching them. They're coming here now. Cool. We've already got the plate. All right, the plate comes back. The plate's legit. The plate comes back to the vehicle. The plate comes out of state person, which we knew it was going to be an out-of-state person, but it just confirmed things. So we had a lot of information going into it, officer safety-wise, and it worked out. But I had live eyes on me at the time of the buy bust, and it all worked out. And I'm that guy. I don't care if I'm giving information to the bad guy. I want you to not do it. If you think that this stuff's on you and it deters you from doing it,
Everybody's good with that.
yeah. I'm okay with that.
If they know, okay, they got to come up with another way to do this stuff. And it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets real tough.
Mhm.
Especially, I know an agency in the area that has very good layering. It's
Yeah.
getting real tough to get away with something. You may
Mhm.
get away with it for a few minutes, but you're going to court.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. But anyway, buddy. Well, I'm appreciate you coming out. I know I'm going to get more episodes out of you. Just because of your experience. You're charismatic. You've got a good
He wants more of my whiskey.
I want your whiskey, all that good stuff. But we end every episode with a good fist bump. And appreciate you being here, man.
I've loved it.
This episode of the podcast has been brought to you by flocksafety.com/2cops. That's FLOCKSAFETY.com/2 and the word cops, COPS. Flocksafety.com/2cops. And I am also announcing that they are releasing a brand new device on October 19th. I can't share any of the details here, but think, what if you could solve gun violence like a drive-by shooting, car break-ins in real time, fights that break out, reckless driving? Well, you're going to want to check out their virtual product launch to find out how this brand new device will help you solve crimes in progress. Register for their virtual product launch on October 19th, and you can use Flock Safety to help you and your agency solve more crimes in real time. That's the bonus part, in real time, guys. One more time, check out flocksafety.com/2cops.